3 o'clock on this Tuesday afternoon. Welcome aboard the Postgame show. It's a Brewsday edition of the program. Alongside Elijah Campbell, I'm Jay Phillips. Former Gamecock Ryan Brewer in the house. Actually, I need to do it the right way, right? Former Gamecock wide receiver, punt returner, kick returner, running back, special teams gunner, captain, husband, father, business owner, volleyball expert.
Better not miss anything.
Future soccer official. We were just talking off air about a couple of things.
Oh, so as in refereeing?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think that's good. Well, I don't know. It actually would be fun to get yelled at by parents all the time.
Yeah.
You choose to do that?
I would choose.
On
Actually,
purpose?
if time was right and once my kids are off to college and I was kind of bored, it would be, I mean, just because I've seen the other side of it, I may just do that and take it and then just see what happens when I tell them all to shut up.
This makes a good reality show.
I was going to say, I'm here for cameras following. Yeah.
But it would be.
Let's do
But
that.
if it's my fault, if I miss the call, I miss the call.
Uh-huh.
You know.
Uh-huh.
But other than that, it would be fun to just to see what happens.
Sure. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome.
How's Halloween prep going?
It hasn't started.
No? Even
No,
ideas
we usually-
formulating?
Nah, I've looked at the backyard.
Okay, that's good.
That's a start, I
That's a
guess.
positive.
Yeah.
For those that have not heard us ever discuss it, the Brewer family for many years has like a haunted trail at their house, and not only do the neighborhood folk come, but folks from neighborhoods all across the metro these days.
Don't
do you
oversell it now.
Well,
Don't oversell it.
well, it's pretty fun. Do you like to add a new element of fright and fear every year, or are there just classics that you fall back on? Is it a blend? How do you decide those
I
things?
usually add a animatronic or something like that, but it really just falls once it gets dark out. It's all about live characters.
Sure.
That's all it's about. I mean, strobe lights, fog machines, and live characters, and just getting to a point where you're trapped in a position that you have no idea how to get out of, and I'm not going to let you out of that position.
Sure.
I may not, depending on who you are. If I know who you are, you're really in trouble.
Yeah, you're in trouble then.
Yeah, you're in trouble. So no, it's all about then just trying to put on a.
What do we?
show.
What is today's date? When is Halloween?
15th is today.
Yeah. All right. So it's a Thursday. Okay.
Yeah,
2 weeks. Yeah. It's getting close.
it's fine. I wait for the night of.
Really?
Yeah,
All right.
pull an all nighter.
We got a lot to get to. We got a cut ready to go. Before we do anything, I want to play an answer that Coach Beamer gave because for a variety of reasons, both good and bad, this particular answer and topic, I should say, has been rather prevalent the last couple of days.
Yeah, just that. I think whether it's, you can learn from every loss and you can learn from every win. And I'm sure people get mad at me because we've had losses and I find the positives in them instead of going in there and just going scorched earth on people after losses. And there's a time and place for that, don't get me wrong. But you build up on a lot of the positives and the progress that you made. But this group, Jordan, is an older, mature group where I don't have to tell them that. Like they hurt, they're disappointed, they're not into moral victories. And, give LSU and Alabama, both credit, but a lot of our guys realize that we could easily be sitting here 5-1 right now if we just finish games better. And there's great hurt and disappointment that we haven't been able to do that, but no one's happy about being 3-3. And that's what I told our players. Like last week, everybody thought we stunk. And this week, it's a bunch of pats on the back about how hard you played. And man, you almost had them, and what a response and all that as well. And last week, we didn't listen to it. This week, we don't need to be listening to it. We need to do everything in our power to find a way to win a game this Saturday as well.
All right. So you played for one of the more vocally active coaches in the history of the sport.
Okay.
You went through some real lows to get to some pretty good highs. Now you do what you do, and I know how, dare I say, passionate you are about this program. So looking at that and hearing what you just heard, going back to the last, as he said, the last couple of games, where are you after Saturday?
So the answer there, what he said is all. I mean, that's what I preach here every time I'm on Tuesday. No matter what, you learn from the game. You learn from every play. You watch so much daggone film. You're trying to learn, what did I do wrong here? I'm guessing left tackle's gonna all right, I got to figure out how to, when they twist or they bring delayed blitz, I got to figure out how to get my arms on the inside. My steps got to get right, all this stuff. You got to learn to get better. I get it's not a moral victory part as well. As a fan, I was highly entertained. I hate that we lost. Don't get me wrong, but it was a very entertaining game. I was up, I was down, I was screaming, didn't cry, but I was happy, sad, whatever. I did every emotion you can think of. But as a football player, you go in the locker room, you better be freaking pissed that you lost that game. You should be pissed. You lose every game. You should be pissed off if you lose one rep out there. That's just how you're driven. So how do I not have that happen again? And every player is different. Everybody had a different role in this game. But it's, as I said over and over again, it's the best sport there is out there because it takes all 11 to make it work. I'm at a point where that game, I was proud of how they fought because after the first drive, it was like, and then we did some good things. And then also the win was 14-0. I was like, yeah, then Alabama just went ahead and shot themselves in the foot, the leg, the butt, and all the way up. Right. They did some dumbest things I've ever seen anyone do in a first half, from the quarterback with the safety to what were they thinking with no time coming, no timeouts, and still throwing the ball in the middle of the field. Yeah. Why are they running a play to begin with?
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Like, it's like, they put us back in the game. Now then we shot ourselves in the foot later with turning the ball over. And, you can say missed a 2-point conversion, things like that. The field goals, you can blame whoever you want to. Alabama gave us so many chances. We gave them so many chances. And it was just one of those, it was one of the most wild games I've watched and we've seen already.
Right.
And not just Gamecock games, but everything. This has been the parity we've talked about, all that. It's just been crazy college football. But I almost can't even, the timeline gets construed in my head because I'm like, what just happened? Mm-hmm. I'm starting going back and go through the play. Right. Even again, going back to, as I was talking about, was second half, the interception, why you threw the ball, but then to go out of bounds with, looked like 1 second, 3 seconds left, and give ourselves a chance for that field goal was crazy. And then you have Stewart, who had a chance to absolutely blindside the heck out of somebody. He learned from watching film. Did you see that? Turns his back and just puts his head. Doesn't. Hey, I'm not gonna kill anybody right here. I'm not gonna get a penalty. Right. One of the smartest plays I've saw, because I'd have put us back 15 plus where the block was. We wouldn't have had a field goal opportunity there. So, but the onside kick. I want to know, Kai, did you hit that ball on purpose like that?
Right.
There's no way. Because
you got to think at least some way, right?
No, there's not. He did not mean to hit it that high on the high end tip of the ball. This is my opinion only. Okay. He can debunk me however he wants, because everybody else trying to recover the onside kick took off way further past to the hash to the numbers, thinking it was going to be a bounce, big bounce.
Okay, that's yeah.
So they all had to turn course, change course, and come back to the right and get on the ball. So if he meant to do that, he had no one there to recover the ball in the middle of the field.
Now you're on to something I had not thought about, but yeah.
But the spin of it, to go through 2, 3, whatever hands, and we jump on the ball after, that was just, the game was, they scored a touchdown, game's over.
Right.
Harvard scores a touchdown. Oh, we're back in it.
Right.
We missed a 2-point conversion. Oh, game's over. Oh, we get the onside kick. Yeah, we're back in it. And then,
or like Elijah said,
then the last couple of plays, what did we just do?
On the Bama touchdown that made it an 8-point game, you don't need to score a touchdown there.
That was the second best thing that could have happened for South
they
Carolina.
should have taken a knee.
Yeah.
Because the game's over.
Yeah.
You fall down in the middle of that field.
Carolina had no timeouts.
Yeah. So. But you don't not score. I mean, that's what
I know, and that's what we talked about.
That's what a coach has to do. A coach has to be like, hey, look, you might have an open field, and it might be really cool to score that touchdown. It might be really enticing because this place is going to go bonkers when you catch the ball. But do you want to win the game or not? And if you just go down in the field of play, then
maybe the most surprising thing is after they scored it, they didn't kick an onside kick. Just because, just how the game is going. It's let's just do something really bizarre here and catch them really off guard.
They'll never see it.
They'll never see this coming.
Well, that's actually a fair point. I remember when Auburn did that here, when they had the ball the whole third quarter of that game. Was that a Thursday night game? And they did it on, nobody saw it coming.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, no, anyway. I bring that up. Again, we had a decent amount of discussion on that yesterday. There's been a lot on Twitter about that and how you're supposed to react to a game like that. And a lot of things can be true. But just sitting here wanting to scream about it, I felt was not productive. Again, if you want to scream about it, scream about it. I don't care. That's you and your blood pressure, not mine. But I did.
Well, see, I was irate. Was that what was the word?
That's right.
What was the word that you were very? No, what were you angry about yesterday?
Well, a guy hit me on Twitter and said anyone that saw that, I'm paraphrasing it, but this is pretty much what he said, should be infuriated.
Infuriating. Dang it, I was so close.
And I was like, well, I don't know that everybody that saw it is going to be infuriated, disappointed, upset, but things like that just to me personally don't inspire fury.
But that's what everyone has different. I mean,
that's what I told the guys. So, feel how you feel, bro. I don't care.
You got, and that's look. I think it depends on what level of infuriating. I mean, there's times I want to throw something, hit something.
Oh,
but that's
listen,
just me.
when Lenoris
when I get
that
fired
ball,
up, you got to get out of the way sometimes.
Yeah.
Things might throw. I might throw some. I might throw you up. You never know.
Sure. I was not happy when Lenoris. I'll be perfectly honest. I was not happy when Lenoris fumbled the football after Carolina had gotten that interception. I was like, you got to be. I was not happy. But I don't want to break my television.
But there's so many. Yeah, there's so many things that the long drive we had in the beginning, and we go through what happened, the craziness of the second end of the first half. Mm-hmm. Then the long drive that was, except for one sack, was beautiful.
Yeah. Well, and 8 minutes? I mean,
you took over 8.5 minutes.
How many times do you see South Carolina in the last decade have a drive that lasts over half a quarter in conference play?
16 plays.
But what was the next play after that? The kickoff.
Yeah.
We absolutely, murdered. We absolutely just dominated the guy. Fumbles the ball.
David
and
Boosie
we're
popped
right
the
there to get the recovery and don't get it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine right then and there how momentum's going?
Yeah.
The Alabama fans, we just did all that beginning of the second or end of the second or first half. That drive, get the ball right back on that would have been like the 40-yard line, 30-yard line, something like that.
Somewhere in there.
That would have just been just deflate the whole place. We probably would have fumbled 2 plays later, but it just would have been, like I said, the woulda, coulda, shouldas of this game, this whole season.
Yeah.
It's the woulda, coulda, shoulda season.
Well, there's,
But we got a lot of games left where we could win every one of them, and we could lose every one of them.
And you need to go win at least half of them.
We got to win them all.
Well, I don't disagree.
I'd say
one at a time.
The hardest teams on your schedule, I think you've already played. Do you think any of the teams that you play at or you play for the next 6 games, are any of those 6 teams better than Alabama, LSU, Ole Miss?
No.
I don't think so.
The way Clemson's playing, if they continue on their trend, I think Clemson can be as good potentially.
Yeah. I can accept that answer.
But I think Alabama's a team that's still to be determined as well. Just what they did to Georgia was crazy, but how they came out the gate so fast.
And then what Georgia did to them for
then the second half, what
minutes.
they did. It's just what they did was unbelievable. You look at, they have 2 of the best highlight reel players on offense that we shut one of them completely down. Mm-hmm. But at any moment, he can just take off and go. So they have but at the same time, you shut one down, their defense isn't that good. Ole Miss defense, I think, is surprisingly good.
It is very good.
And that's what we didn't really think about that coming in.
Right.
I knew they were good, but who they played, you're like, maybe.
Right.
No, they're good.
No, they are good.
They're a legitimate team.
Yeah.
But
and yet they lost again the other day.
They lost
again, because LSU finds those ways that we've talked about. That's what some of those programs seem to do, and maybe Alabama's in the same boat.
It's been a fun season.
Carolina's
halfway through.
But that's the thing too, and one of the points I was trying to make about that game, and I'll leave it alone, and we'll talk about other stuff football related. But again, that was an entertaining game. That's what sports, at least in a lot of ways, is supposed to be about. But and that was one of the points I was trying to make.
And what stinks is when you go back next year looking at it, you go, it was just a loss.
Yeah.
Unless you have a really good memory, like, it was a great loss.
Well, the only thing I'm going to remember,
so much fun to watch. That's great now, but I really think like next week I'm like, dang, it's going to really set in for me. Yeah. It was just a loss.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's whether people like to hear it or not, it's sports, and sometimes you lose. And in college football, there are no more ties. 803-404-6100 to join us. If you want to weigh in on the phone line, the Firehouse Subs text line, hit us on Twitter or anything else. Please do so. Ryan is with us for the entire 3 o'clock hour. It's the Brewsday edition of the Postgame Show.
And in case you weren't aware, we're already at the 15th of the month, halfway through the month of October, and I swear we just started October not long ago. In the blink of an eye, we'll be done with it, and then Thanksgiving and Christmas will be rolling around. And if you have a weight loss goal that you would like to achieve by that point, really, there's no better time to start than right now with my friends at Columbia Secret for Weight Loss. Look, it might not seem like a long time, but you can lose the amount of weight you want to lose in a short amount of time. And I'm the best example of that. I had a weight loss goal when I started with them. I wanted to lose 20 pounds, and I wanted to do it fast. And I did it in less than a month with my friends Paul Grant and Shaylin over at Columbia Secret for Weight Loss. They did all of it without any pills, without any shots. It's incredible teaching, incredible program that helps you maintain your weight even once you're done with the program. If that sounds good to you and you want a free consultation, give them a call, 803-824-4210. Again, that's 803-824-4210, or go to ColumbiaSecretForWeightLoss.com. Results may vary.
Nineteen minutes after 3 o'clock on this Tuesday. Want to remind you that the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest is going strong. If, as Ryan Brewer hopes, South Carolina scores a special teams touchdown this week, somebody's going to win $100. Nope, it's not $100, Jay. It's $700. How, you ask, is that possible? Because it's $100 a game, and we're into Game 7. Lisa is dropping another $100 into the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest pot at her office. And all you got to do is register at 1075thegame.com to win.
Can't win if you can't register.
That's right.
Them's the rules.
I can register, right?
You are technically allowed to register. Okay. Yes, you are.
This
not,
is the week.
You are not unless you are a employee of Lawyer Lisa's firm that we don't know
think
about.
So.
You look like a lawyer.
Do I? Do I really?
Yeah.
It's the glasses.
Yeah.
That's all. That's why he's saying
no
that.
way.
Make you look studious.
Not that there's anything wrong with lawyers. I just don't see myself as.
No, I don't see you as a lawyer either.
Brewer's like, I bench the bar with weight on it. I don't pass the bar.
There it
you
is.
go.
Look at that. Look at that. But anyway, yeah, thanks to the team over at Lawyer Lisa. Again, $700 this week. All right, so let's go. Look, I don't know yet, Ryan. Well, you and I were just talking off air. As we assess this entire season in a couple of months, we can look back at some different things and put different context on it. So I don't know how much the Ole Miss game is still sort of an outlier and anomaly. It feels like one for certain, and I do think that Carolina found a way to take themselves out of that game. That's not what I'm asking you about, though. It's the bounce back last week, and this team did play much better. Despite what some want to hear, I'm going to continue to dwell upon that. I thought it was a game where they showed some growth and progress again. Now the big thing is what a team goes through when they know by and large that they keep doing things to beat themselves. Where is the fine line in getting past that point?
Now we're so late in the game. All right, so the biggest deal to me is still the game's called football. Protect the daggone football. Quit putting it on the ground. Quit putting it in jeopardy. Even though Lenoris, that play was great where you used the ball as a kickstand and you scrambled off and almost did a 50-yard bomb down the field. Put the ball away. It's just little things like you got to have it in your mentally in your head that I can't throw the ball over my helmet. I think then all of a sudden the middle of the throws, oh crap, I got to hold on to the ball. But that shouldn't even been a thought to begin with because you're not looking. If you do throw the ball, who's there?
Right.
Either it could be an intentional grounding, 15 yards, or it could be a pick six, or it could be whatever. So just those types of things, he's got to get better at. Just putting the mesh point stuff, they do that 60, 70 times a day, and that's just unlucky. And the fact that it happens with Robbie and him, on back-to-back weeks, I think. So
yes.
That's unfortunate. But that it's just given we're not there yet offensively to be able to give up possessions, and defensively we're there. But not when they give up possession inside, our territory. So that's the big. It's just how do you get that now? I have to protect the ball. I have to be smart. I got to be, and that's just because other than that and a little bit of pocket presence, Norris played his tail off, dude. I mean, he found receivers. He was, putting the ball in there, ran well, looked like he was 95% healthy.
I agree.
He had a heck of a game besides that, but that's a huge deal. Now, offensive line, we got to find a way. Stop giving up pressure. Stop giving up sacks, and let Lenoris have time. When Lenoris has time, it's pretty fun to watch.
What's the stat again? Last week, Wilhelms had 17 of 19 when he had clean
17 and 19 on. So he had 20 dropbacks that were clean, threw the ball 19 times, completed 17 for over 201 yards. Well, that's pretty good.
Clean pocket's pretty fun.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's of course you have one where it's a fourth down, you make a busted coverage type deal. It's still you have to hit it.
Yeah,
and that's type deal, and it gets harder and harder. We've talked about this, I guess, the last 3-4 years. I feel like with the O-line, but even with Spencer, especially with Spencer, if you start looking at the pressure coming at you instead of what's downfield, it's not going to work. He still keeps his eyes downfield, even though he's getting hit. I mean, he's ducked out of some stuff, but he's still looking. So he's still trying to make a play the whole time. It's just having the feel for that. And I love for them to. He wants to, when he gets pressured, he wants to go to his right, which is natural. You're right-handed. You're looking at that side. So when that pressure's coming left, he steps left a couple of times. It's green grass, and it's just type of things you watch on films. Just work on that. Getting out of pressure, spinning out, figuring it out that way. But the biggest thing right now is we protect the football. Half the times in all these games, we're winning a lot more football games.
And in terms of play calling, too, I thought this was one of Dow Loggains' best games in terms of creativity and finding, like, where your easy buttons are. Like, I loved, like, Gage Larvadan going in, like, an orbit motion and then running an option out of that, right? I loved the shovel pass they used on third down to get the ball to Oscar Attaway once the defense keys in on Sellers. I thought there was a lot more of plays that you could go to on, like, second or third and short that had high success rates to be able to move the chains. And I thought you did it in a more creative way. But are we kind of reaching a point, even after just one game, given what we saw 2 weeks ago, how bad that was? But do you think now that they're kind of finding those easy buttons to whenever you do get in these high leverage situations, that they can at least be comfortable enough to get themselves out of it more often than not?
Yeah, I think they stepped up. And I think last week we talked about it was like really with Sellers when he came back from the injuries, like they went backwards a little bit, kind of went back to the Old Dominion game, the playbook, everything, how he was moving. It was just like, hey, let's simplify it a little bit. But you know what we did very well? We ran a screen to the running back. Didn't we talk about that?
Yep.
We talked about that. Ran two of them. We called them Seahawks when I was playing, and that's one of my favorite plays. They scored one against Ohio State on that. But they that and then we called Steelers was the shovel pass inside. Same play. They somewhat stole it from what Vanderbilt did to Alabama the week before. But that's unbelievable play. It's one of the scariest plays as either running back or slot receiver, depending on who's getting the ball at that time, because you're running back, you're looking back at the quarterback in the trenches, have no idea what's coming at you, and the ball's being shoveled to you, which seems like it's going 2 miles per hour. So everything's slow motion because you have no idea what's about to come smoke you right in the ear hole. But when you turn and that hole's open, it's a great feeling, and that play right there, design. We all jumped out of our chair. It was like it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was, and just to see those type of plays and then they all work well. The O-line do what they're supposed to do, and then there were some other things that the third downs, fourth downs, and long, and you're throwing the ball 2-3 yards, one to Simon, but you're really the play design's fine. It's just it's hard to get a first down when you're. I think it was 4th and 11.
One of them.
Yeah. We ran a 2-yard out route, but it was designed. It was a screen pretty much. It was right because the other receiver was man-to-man blocking, and they were just hoping they'd win. And then we didn't.
Where was that ball? What was that line of scrimmage?
You were probably on your own 37, 38. Was it the one that was Josh
40.
Simon?
Yeah, Simon. He got 9 out of 11 on that one.
Yeah.
And they said, and it's man-to-man blocking. They're hoping he could split them or make a guy miss and go out. And it was close.
Yeah.
But the play, everything there is great. But if it works, but it didn't, and it's like, everyone's yelling, why are you running, under the sticks? And I'm with a bunch of guys who know a lot of football watching this game, yelling. I was like, guys, the play, it's there. It's just, but you're and that's hardest block in football is man-to-man blocking against a corner. Like those guys are slippery, dude.
Yeah.
They're quick.
They're quick. So if like slot receiver, I get a safety, that's fine. I get a linebacker, that's fine. I get a corner, man, that's tough. And you saw that with Harbor on the other side.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Harbor, he's so big and whatever. It's even harder if you're bigger. Those guys, he just shot right by him, and Nick's like, oh, what just happened? And that's another one. We ran behind the sticks as man-to-man blocking, and we got blown up because we missed the block, but that's a tough block.
Lots more to do with Ryan. Again, 404-6100 to be a part of the program. On the phone lines, the Firehouse Subs text line. It's Brewsday on the postgame show. Looking for a reliable propane provider? Look no further than our friends at Palmetto Propane. They are your complete solution for homes and businesses. More than 65 years of experience. Palmetto Propane provides exceptional service you can count on, from Rinnai tankless water heaters, get one, to commercial fuel services to run your business. Palmetto Propane delivers. And now for homeowners, the Hearth and Patio Home Store showrooms can give you all kinds of ideas about what looks great inside and outside the home, especially when it comes to staying nice and comfortable. If you'd rather switch from wood to gas logs, propane or natural gas, stop in to a Hearth and Patio Home Store showroom. See what these things look like. And now the look, the sound, the feel, it's almost like, hey, wait, is that a real fire? Not not. It's not. They've got outdoor fire features, furnaces, lanterns, so much more to keep you nice and warm outside. Just go in and see them in Aiken, West Columbia, Batesburg, Lexington, or even across the river in Augusta. Palmetto Propane. .33 on this Tuesday. Welcome back in. Jay, Elijah, Ryan Brewer hanging out here on a Tuesday, a Brewsday. Got more sound from Shane Beamer coming up in just a bit. A couple of NFL wide receiver trades today, both involving teams in the AFC least.
Not a great division.
Not this year.
No.
Not this year. Kind of crazy that Elijah looked at me and was like, yeah, the AFC East isn't any good because the Patriots are in it. Man. For 20 years, we couldn't have said that.
It feels good to say that. I'm not going to lie. I do take a little bit of pleasure in saying that the New England Patriots bring down an already average division.
Yeah. Switching gears real quick, can I interest you in pulling against the New York Mets for the rest of the NLCS?
Can I? I mean, I guess. What's in it for me?
Hating the Mets, which is a great feeling if they lose.
Okay, yeah.
Jay is offering you camaraderie.
I like
satisfying.
It's kind of like waiting for this by giving you what?
Well, I mean,
I'll go with that. Friendship, let's do it.
Yeah, I'll bring you a beer.
Yeah.
Or
I like to have a combined hatred for something.
Candy bar. Maybe I'll contribute.
It'd be tough for me to do that, but I'll figure it out.
All right. Just saying.
Got it.
I'm not going to lie. I'm a little nervous that the Mets are going to beat the L.A. Dodgers and make it to the World Series.
So you know what, Jay? Like, I'd be on board with you if the Padres were playing.
I know you don't like it, but how you can hate the Dodgers more than the Mets seems unfathomable to me.
Oh, the team that just buys every All-Star.
That's called the Yankees.
And the Dodgers. Yeah, the Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani, pretty good. He wasn't cheap. Freddie Freeman, pretty good.
Yeah.
Wasn't cheap. Mookie Betts, pretty good. Wasn't cheap. That entire pitching rotation, pretty good. Not cheap. And I still find it really funny that they have to use bullpen games in the playoffs to get through, as if they couldn't just buy the entire National League All-Star roster.
Well, they could. Except that now that ownership group is doing the same thing over with Chelsea, and they have no money left. Because that guy's a dolt.
Spent what they don't have.
Yeah, you should see if you think the Dodger payroll is big, go look at Chelsea's payroll. You're like, what are y'all doing? Do you have your own mint?
Well, they used to be run by like a Russian mob boss, right? Like
not a mob. Well, he was in oil and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he was doing anything nefarious there, Elijah.
Was he in waste management? Did he hang out at Bada Bing's? Is there,
no comment.
Putting some.
I don't know. Listen, I don't like Chelsea, so there's.
Well, if I go missing in like 48 hours, then
pulling for you.
We'll know why.
Pulling for you. All right, let's start looking ahead. Okay, so one of the things that I put in the tweet promoting your visit today was, what do you do now that you do best? How much? I hate the term simplify. I know you hate when I use the term simplify, so I'm not asking any of that. But what do you see that you say, all right, listen, build on this, stop doing this, build on that? Is there anything you want to stop? Do you just feel like, all right, Lenoris, if you protect the ball, everything else is fine? Where is the edge for Carolina moving forward?
Punting the ball and let the defense eat.
Okay.
Just
well, that goes back to the Mississippi game, so I don't,
No, sorry, but that's it's crazy part is both teams, their strengths are defense, special teams. Offense for Oklahoma is iffy, but see what happens as new quarterback kind of running.
So Ryan's saying take the under, which is very low, by the way. The under is 40 and a half. 40 and a half is the under in this game.
Yeah. But you got to build on what we did in this game, but because offensively, if we have time, if Lenoris has time, he's going to pick some people apart. But we got to win outside receivers, one-on-one matches, and things like that. But it was good to see Rocket run the ball hard. Attaway looked phenomenal. He looked. That was the best game he's had. Yeah. Especially again with the screens and doing things like that. What he's doing, but if it's a big if the O-line can step up, we got to run the ball. We got to be able, and it's. And again, that goes to what Rocket's looking like, I think, in the game. I think he's healthy. What you saw out there, I still don't think he had like that burst, but he ran hard, dude. He was running people over. He had, he was trying to shake a little bit out there, but it just seemed like he didn't have quite that lateral he used to have in the first couple of games. But I'm just excited to see what happens against a team. First off, we non-ranked team now, but going again away,
still playing at Oklahoma.
Going to another
still a big
historic stadium that's known for great football, and it's a team right now it's down as well. They're looking, they're trying to find a way to find some momentum to build their program up, and here comes South Carolina again. It's finding another team that wants to push ahead, and it's but right now I think offensively we have to build on what we did. I don't know where that comes from besides turning the ball over, because I think everything else besides picking up the twist, picking up some late blitzers, and, having our tackles giving up too many pressures, because we got pushed in the run game. Protection was decent inside, and
it was better.
A heck of a lot better than what we've been seeing. Yeah. So it's that's a positive, right?
That's what I say.
It's not great. I'm not saying it's great, but you got to keep going in that direction.
Right.
But the biggest thing we have is going for us is our two DNs, our multiple DNs, and Tonka doing the best spin move I've ever seen in college, let alone maybe NFL football, there, and then swimming a move, a spin, and then a little swim on the running back, and then making the tackle. Our defense right now is so much fun to watch. That it's really comes down. If you're in any situation where you're like, hey, what do we do here? Punt the ball, pin them deep, let these guys go.
I agree.
Yeah, definitely. And if you think the defense was fun to watch this past week, against Alabama. I think it might be borderline erotic against Oklahoma next Saturday because of how bad Oklahoma's offensive line is, how very little help they have at wide receiver right now. And if you're able to keep Jalen Milroe in the pocket and be able to sack him 4 times and really minimize the damage that he could do with his legs, what you're going to do to Michael Hawkins also might be a little criminal. I mean, I think
now Milroe did get his.
Occasionally.
He did.
Occasionally. He's going to.
He did get, what, 2 touchdowns or whatever, 2 big, 1 big run and a touchdown, whatever.
Short yardage.
He got his.
Yeah.
But we did contain him well. Oklahoma's going to bring a little bit different package, though. I don't think we don't have to worry too much about the pass, but they're going to bring some triple option stuff. That quarterback's quick than the one they brought in.
Michael Arnold.
Yeah, Michael. He's quick and he's explosive too. So but it's just completely different, And that's
right.
Again, you're lining up there, and I don't know. I'm excited. I don't know if it's erotic as much, but I am excited to watch what they do against this team.
Yeah, not Michael. Jackson Arnold is Michael
Hawkins.
Yeah,
and
Jackson
true
Arnold.
freshman. True freshman, by the way.
By the way, because I was thinking about Jackson Arnold, apparently Brent was asked about his future and says they have had a conversation about him redshirting. So he may be done for the season. That came out today
I don't get that.
For some reason, I thought he was already redshirted. I thought he redshirted last year.
Nah,
I guess not. Apparently not.
No, yeah. I mean, what I saw today says that Brent Venables said that they sat down, the two of them, and had the conversation. No decision was made, and Coach Venables said, "Listen, if I put you in later in the year, it's because I think and we think that you can help us win a football game. But for now, we're giving Hawkins the opportunity because we feel like he's earned it relative to how you played."
Yeah.
So you want to know something about that makes me infuriated? Is that we're 6 games in, we got half the freaking season left, and you got guys talking about redshirting. Not even that was talking about last week and the week before that.
A few guys did, yeah.
But I mean, what do you not? That shows you right there. You don't give 2 craps about the team you're playing for. You care about the name on the back better than the name on the front. That's all. I mean, because if it comes down to it, hey, if you're hurt or injured, and you know that you can't give, whatever percent, 60, 70% that could actually help your team out there, right. I kind of get that. But if you're just doing it because, I'm going to see where I'm going to go, or I just want to get an extra year, that's fine. If you haven't played the all season,
there's
only a couple of games left,
right.
then that makes sense.
Well,
if you're still battling to go to a decent bowl game or to go into the, especially if you're trying to play for a playoff position and you can help the team.
I'm already forgetting Bengali Kamara.
Yeah.
Yeah, who played 70 total snaps. 30 of them were against Mississippi, and then he decides that he wants to redshirt.
He played really well in that game.
Yeah,
too.
the only one.
Very well.
The only one I have an exception for so far this year is the Sluka kid at UNLV. Because again, my opinion is that he was lied to.
Yeah, and that's.
Because I don't think as I said, I don't think he goes out and says what he says the way he said it so publicly if he himself was just making it up. Because it's too easy, especially for a coach as well-connected as Barry Odom, to absolutely just eviscerate you and do so silently in the coaching community so that you never even get a ticket to a football game again, much less play quarterback for somebody.
Good way to get blackballed.
Yeah.
That type of stuff's provable, too. Like, if I paid, Ryan a certain amount of money through, like, a wire or Venmo or whatever, I can easily prove, hey, this was a transaction of money. What he's saying is wrong because I gave him that money, unless you just gave him a big bag of cash. And
there's no contracts, but I wouldn't imagine they're giving cash out for this stuff.
Oh, these days, you don't. I mean, that's just it. These days, you can actually put it in there. Here's a wire transfer.
Exactly.
You can prove it.
Yeah, but that's what. So you can prove what was given to you.
Yeah.
So that doesn't. I don't know.
Paper trail.
Hey, but
did that start the whole thing? That start the whole red shirt?
That week there were like 4 or 5 of them that week, including one of his teammates. But yeah, there were.
I just felt like that was like the first time you heard about, hey, I want a red shirt, especially that early in the season. Then all of a sudden,
4 games.
Some guys start coming out. I want a red shirt. No, I think I want a red shirt as well.
Yeah, and I think more that we probably
that's
didn't
not your
hear
call.
About. Well, that's kind of what Shane said last week to Kamara. He was like, well, it's not really how that works. Let's talk about it. And then, Shane gave that long answer at the presser, and he's like, and then I just basically made the decision for him. So which I thought was like, there you go. All right, we'll wrap it up with Ryan. Look ahead, final thoughts against the Oklahoma Sooners coming up here on Brewsday. 11 minutes in front of 4 o'clock on this Tuesday afternoon. Welcome back in. Final few minutes of our Brewsday segment with Ryan. We got a lot of sound from Shane Beamer coming up. Again, a couple of things going on around the NFL. Also, a story on potential SEC Big Ten football challenge. We'll have that for you coming up in just a bit. But every time Ryan is with us, we always appreciate the fine sponsor that allows Ryan Brewer to be here. It's very convenient. It's Ryan Brewer and Ryan Brewer Fence.
It is. They pay me to be here, and it's been a pretty
like the brand ambassador.
Yeah. How'd you pull that off?
It's don't kind of shorten me right now, so I may redshirt.
That's just it. Ryan does not actually own his own business. He's been a front for 20 years.
It's a genius front.
Yes,
it's that Russian guy that you were talking about that used to own
when
Chelsea.
You're sitting here talking crap, and I'm sitting here going, wait a minute, I'm getting buzzed over here. So.
Didn't mean to give out the company secrets over the air.
Besides doing waste disposal, we do fence work. So anything y'all need for fence, ornamental fence, privacy, vinyl, we can do it for you. Chain link, temporary fence. Just go to ryanbrewer.net, and we'll take care of you. You got also some wall art, and we do a bunch of custom work. Anything your heart desires, we can pretty much weld it up for you. And that's we've been doing it for almost 20 years, 20 years. So. Been a fun ride of dumping bodies in the lake.
That's right. No, that's not.
Oh wait, I mean for putting up fence.
That's yes, right. Not sleeping with the fishes, but sleeping in your home that is now fortified because of the nice
secure,
fence.
Secure around the lake,
that's
so
right.
you don't fall in.
Look at that. There you go.
Our tag is secure is beautiful.
And I guess like a week from today, we could be giving an update on what's going on around the Phillipses. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that's
next week.
I can go back to Halloween, but yeah,
no,
it should be.
No, I don't care as much about it. I already did the thing about you, man. It's about me.
Got your custom gate being made. I was gonna do something else, but I don't think I can do it now. But it's all right. I was gonna surprise you with something, but it might be a little too much. So.
Why do I have a feeling that you probably thought it was going to be something nice, and in my head, I have a feeling that it was going to be something mean?
No, it was going to be super nice, actually. But how you're looking at me, I was like, oh, he's going to.
I don't want to do it when I have a camera, but does it involve a middle digit? I was like,
no, it was going to be something super cool. But,
surprise.
Is it too ornate, too intricate? I mean,
it's a little too ornate.
Okay, can't find a way to pull back 80% of it.
No, I think it has to do with support you have on one of your old walls you have there. I was trying to do something a little different.
Oh, okay. I got you. All right. Well, thanks for thinking of us.
Yeah, no problem.
You want to just scrap the whole job now?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, that's it.
So, the ryanbrewer.net.
Good stuff. All right, before we get out of here, Joe has a question for Mr. Brewer. Hey, Joe, good afternoon.
Hey, how y'all doing today?
Right.
Ryan, I appreciate you taking my question. I was going to give you a name that I know is going to, if I could see you, I don't have you on the web, that'll lighten your face up, Hart Turner.
HT. Love me some Hart Turner.
Hart's actually the brother of my daughter's husband, Jensen.
Okay. Yeah. Love Jensen as well.
So he talks about you, and I won't discuss some of the things he's said, but I did get to meet your dad after a Clemson game in Columbia. That was a few years ago. But anyway, I've given him the number to the game, so he needs to call and harass you a little bit.
Well, good. Yeah, he definitely does. He needs to call, harass, he needs to come hang out sometime.
Sure.
Got to stop being recluse and just be.
Exactly. But the other thing I did want to say is because of your compassion and passion for Carolina and your talent of football knowledge, I really would wish that the university would reach out to you and get you involved in there. I think you need to be around those players just for who you are and what you can teach them and show them. So I just want to say that. Appreciate you getting to listen
Joe,
to you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, and honestly, they do. I'm around as much as I can be with work and in this radio show. No, but they are. Shane's been great to me. George has been great up there for all Letterman and stuff. So I go to practices when I get a chance and hang out. And most of the guys there, and they welcome me with open arms. The players too. I mean, they're great. So it's being able to talk to them one-on-one and stuff, and I do whatever I can to help them out.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. All right. Not expecting a lot of points this weekend. As we said, the over-under 40.
Not from Oklahoma.
Well, there you go.
We're going to get 40.
You know, but
That's the spirit.
yeah. But in defense,
They're going to get a half.
Another, and honestly, how much time do I have here? Just a second. I mean, you went to a hostile place the other day, morning kickoff. It's a second straight morning kickoff for you. Anything you learned from last week that you apply this week? Does it matter?
I think we're fine. They just got to start a little faster, defensively and offensively. But I think we're pretty good on these morning games, and I think like I said, our bodies are used to it. Everybody's used to doing there, and it also brings a crowd where they're not as hyped up. And I think you could tell that the Alabama crowd was not as, I think it has something to do with the Vandy game, but also being an early game.
Ryan21 Brewer on Twitter, ryanbrewer.net. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you as always. And we'll do it again next week. Hour 2 of the postgame show is coming at you. 4 o'clock on this Tuesday. Welcome back in. Second hour of the post-game show coming at you from the Herndon Chevy Studios in downtown Columbia, South Carolina. Along with Elijah Campbell, I'm Jay Phillips. Appreciate you being with us. Lots more to get to from Coach Shane Beamer. Got some NFL news that's out there. Again, a couple of big wide receiver trades today. The Cleveland Browns have basically given up. Did you see?
As they should.
Well,
it's a disaster.
Listen, I freely admit I don't know a lot about like how the salary cap. I mean, I know what it is, and you know but there's like cap hits, and a guy can make one amount, but a cap hit is another, and blah blah blah.
A team can be like $100 million over the cap by the end of the year, but because of how words work, cap should mean you should not be able to be $100 million over the cap, but it does happen because of certain things, and funny money is a thing, and there's like so many rules and loopholes to break the rules, and
I know you can like roll it over a 3 or 5 year period, all this kind of stuff. But anyway, one of the things that I read, and you and I were talking about this yesterday, I guess, is the Browns now do really have like a Deshaun Watson conundrum, because he is owed so much money. He has a fully guaranteed contract, which is incredibly rare in the National Football League. I mean, he is one of just a few guys that has a fully guaranteed contract. I think like even Dak's new deal isn't fully guaranteed. I think Rodgers has a fully guaranteed contract. I think even the way Mahomes got restructured, I think his is fully guaranteed, but it's not. Anyway, I don't want to go down in too many different rabbit holes, but basically, like the Deshaun Watson cap hit is like double what he actually is owed if they just cut him. And they were, this article was talking about how Cleveland could technically trade him and get some draft capital or whatever, but somebody that picks him up obviously has to pay him, or unless Cleveland paid some of it and all this. And I started thinking to myself, who would do that?
No, nobody. The answer is nobody.
Yeah, I'm not even kidding when I say this. Like, you and I talked about it, like, it feels like David Tepper would, but then you'd have to get rid of Bryce.
Mm-hmm. It'd have to be a swap.
And, I mean, maybe that, but I feel like Tepper would. Well, we'll be the team today. Well, Jimmy Haslam thought he was going to get, and do you want to take on Deshaun's PR troubles? And that's a, somewhat, again, I use them a lot, rhetorical question. Look, if you're good enough, and that's why Jimmy Haslam did it, because Jimmy Haslam thought, well, I don't concern myself too much with his PR issues because I know he's going to be a great quarterback. But the thing is, it feels like all the things that Deshaun Watson has gone through have absolutely harmed him from a playing standpoint too. He's
bad.
Yeah, he's just a shell of who he used to be, and he settled yet another of these lawsuits. That's that's like 24 settled lawsuits.
I think we've broken 24. Yeah, I think we're at 25. At this point.
At some point you have to realize you keep settling all these. You don't want to fight any of them, do you? No. So there's that. Take it as you will. But I was just like, wow, why would it cost so much to cut him? And do you have to finally eat that? I mean, at some point, you got to realize this dude is just not good anymore. And now today, to come back to the point I'm making, you just traded your best wide receiver.
Yeah. I mean, at some point, you're going to have to completely punt on this and just eat that money. And I see, I'm friends with some Browns fans, and I've talked to them about it, and where they're seriously like, yeah, Jameis Winston probably gives you the best chance to win right now, which in 2024 is just a crazy sentence to say, but they're all very fully aware that this isn't a Stefanski thing. Like, Stefanski's not the one pulling the strings here. This is 100% ownership, not willing to give up on that investment, because it's not just any investment into a player, it's a historical investment into one player. Yes. And it's not just that Deshaun Watson's average, it's that he is so below average. He is the worst quarterback in the NFL by almost any metric imaginable. It's not just that he's, underperforming, it's that he's unplayable, and that your offense is the only one in the NFL this year, I believe, to not score over 20 points in a game.
And basically, Stefanski has had to, I think, toe the company line. No, we still think Deshaun gives us a great chance to win, and that's coming down from on high.
Yeah, he don't believe that.
No, he doesn't. There's no way.
And I'm not buying that.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, we see far too many football coaches. Even if it's just change for a week, like, hey, just get your head right, kid. Get back out there next week, or let's give the other guy a shot. Do something.
Yeah.
And Cleveland's not doing that because I think Jimmy Haslam won't let Kevin Stefanski make that move. And yet they're still losing. And like I said, now
they're bad.
To sign off today as the owner on giving away the one weapon, more than any other at least, that your quarterback has to utilize, tells me everything I need to know about where you think you are. So it's an odd. I never would have seen this. I mean, Deshaun was going to be so good.
The year before the suspension and the troubles, he was arguably a top 5 quarterback in the NFL.
He was just on his way to being so good. It's there have been falls from grace, so this is not unprecedented. But this is going to be one of your more spectacular falls from grace.
Surprising that it was this bad. I mean, I don't think it would have been out of the stretch of the imagination for somebody to predict when the Browns did eventually make the deal for him that he wasn't going to be what he was prior to all the trouble.
Right.
Because what he was prior to all the trouble was, like what you mentioned, an elite quarterback in the National Football League and was constantly getting the Texans into the playoffs. They were winning that division. They owned that division whenever him and DeAndre Hopkins were the battery of that offense, right? Like that was as good as it gets. And Bill O'Brien was coaching. I mean, they dominated the AFC South, and he catapulted himself into being one of the best quarterbacks in the entire NFL. So you could maybe assume that, okay, maybe he dips into being the 14th, 15th best quarterback in the league. He becomes average, right? And the Browns would have killed for somebody to be the quarterback for their football team and to be just average because they have not had a just average quarterback in a long time. But then for him to be one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. And, I mean, insert any name of quarterback now, the Cleveland Browns that they used to have from 2000 on, because the list is comically long, they would much rather have. I think they would love to bring Kelly Holcomb out of retirement.
Right.
So take a couple snaps at quarterback. I'm sure they would love for Jason Campbell to give you a game.
Connor Shaw started a couple of games, I think. Right?
Yeah, Connor Shaw started. Yeah, he started a few games.
I think back to when I thought Tim Couch was going to be awesome, but again, he played for the
Cleveland Browns. Yeah. You know what? In an alternate universe, Tim Couch probably could have been awesome.
Yeah.
Anywhere else but the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Because that place is an absolute quarterback wasteland.
But Amari Cooper today traded to the Buffalo Bills. I haven't seen the full details on what Cleveland will get in return.
I believe it was a second-round pick.
Okay. That's not bad.
It really is.
Well, you and I were talking, too. A lot of this, I mean, maybe is, I guess, for both the Cooper trade and Devontae Adams is going to the Jets. A lot of this is probably a salary dump in some ways.
Mm-hmm. Just offloading salaries and trying to get maybe some draft capital in return.
Trying to look here at what Amari Cooper is making this season. I don't have that in front of me, but he has been to the Pro Bowl 5 times, so there's that.
Yeah, he's had. I don't even think he's really past like his prime. I think he's still got a lot left in him. I think a lot of the reasons why he's been so bad was because the quarterback play has been really bad.
Let's see. According to Daniel Oyefusi, who covers the Browns, Cleveland converted the majority of Cooper's $20 million base salary into a signing bonus that made him more attractive as a trade candidate.
Oh, his cap hit this year is only $806,000.
Well, that's
his 2024 cash is $20 million, but the cap hit is $806,000.
And there again, so you can take those things and convert it to a signing bonus, and you work again. Why
it's
is
so manipulative?
Well, if I'm Jerry Jones or some of these mega owners, even David Tepper, I'm just giving everybody a signing bonus. If that's my workaround on the salary cap, but the other owners eventually, because the NFL, and I mean this complimentary, as I've said, for men and women who are by and large extraordinarily good at capitalism, it is such a socialist organization.
Oh yeah,
which is fascinating to me. Like I say, I mean that as a complimentary thing. I mean the NFL is doing what the NFL does.
Certainly.
You know, I mean,
it's built for parity. Like that's the whole point, is to try to get as many teams as good as possible.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why owners love Roger Goodell as much as they do, is because if you are just halfway competent, you will fall, butt backwards into a winning season because of just how things are
well, I
structured.
mean, look at, and it goes back to that. I remember, I forget who
At
it
least
was
once
now.
a blue moon.
When Tagliabue was the commissioner, but I remember it was a year when there was like a lot of playoff parity, and I can't remember which talking head, because it was a long time ago. I just remember, this is Pete Rozell's dream, because this is what Pete Rozelle wanted for the NFL when it merged all those years ago. They were like, Pete Rozell's dream would be for everybody to be 8-8 and have to use like the 6th tiebreaker in order to figure out who's going to the playoffs.
And all your playoff games be one possession games.
Yeah, and it made what they, I know what they meant, and it makes sense. Obviously he didn't really, but there again, this is what you wanted to build. A league that is truly competitive top to bottom and across the board. And it does allow the Cincinnati Bengals and the Detroit Lions and the Buffalo Bills to be good. The only team that can't seem to escape the trap is the New York Jets. But they did trade today.
Or the Cleveland Browns.
Which, again, this Cleveland Browns team, as we said, is not the historical Cleveland Browns. This is still the expansion Cleveland Browns, even though they've been a team now for 25 years.
This is still the reboot.
They're still an expansion team. It's amazing how you can be an expansion team for 25 years. It really is, man.
They pulled it off.
Congratulations. They still feel like an expansion team. But the Jets today traded for Devontae Adams, getting him out of Vegas. I don't know if that'll help.
I think it'll help on the surface, but how good is it going to be?
Help toward what, I suppose, right?
Yeah. And are you going to take that much attention away from Garrett Wilson, who is arguably a just as good receiver right now, keeping those mouths fed?
Gives defenses something else to have to occupy.
And you still see some flashes of old Aaron Rodgers. I thought Rodgers played well last night, but for the most part, they haven't played very well. You want to know a crazy stat, Jay Phillips? That after 6 games, the New York Jets have as many points this year as they did after 6 games last year with Zach Wilson as their quarterback.
Bum, bum, bum.
Jets, Jets.
But they might win that division because the division is bad.
The Buffalo Bills will make sure they win it. Buffalo's got a 2-game cushion.
Buffalo winning on the road last night was good for Buffalo.
Yeah. It was big for them.
Yeah. That's a nice win for Buffalo.
They have an opportunity to build some cushion.
And they got better.
They did.
They got better.
Them getting Amari Cooper is going to help out a whole lot. Yeah. The receiving core for them has been lacking. I don't think Keon Coleman's kind of where they expected him to be.
But coming back around, and I don't have the wherewithal to get into the nuts and bolts to just put a fine point on the Deshaun Watson situation. But again, I don't know who would trade for him and what that trade would have to look like for somebody to take on, like I say, as much of the PR nightmare as a bad football player with just an albatross of a contract in this league. If this was baseball, I could see it.
No one's going to take a guy with that type of PR nightmare where his cap hit against your salary cap is going to be almost $28 million for this year alone.
Yeah. And again, even looking to next year, like if Cleveland cuts him before June 1 or something, it's some incredible number. I forget what it was. I don't have it in front of me.
It's $72 million.
Yeah, there you go.
Almost 73. It's $72.9 million. And then $72.9 million the next year. It's not going to get below $30 million for a cap hit until 2027.
And, for a bad quarterback.
This is the worst contract in the history of the NFL.
It's going to go down as that. Yeah.
We still got 3 years left.
Cleveland gave up a lot to Houston.
5 years, $230 million, all guaranteed.
All guaranteed. So,
congratulations.
Do you just cut him and continue to be an expansion team for a couple of years? You may have to. Because there's been zero signs of life that he's getting better.
None.
Zero. And like I say, you just traded your best receiver. So you don't care about getting better today.
Or you don't feel like you're going to get any better today.
Yeah.
You're not either trying or you feel like that's just not a possibility.
Come back on the other side. Shane Beamer has spoken. We'll get you caught up on some of the things that he has had to say. We'll get into that SEC Big Ten story, too. You're listening to the Postgame Show. 19 minutes after 4 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon. Welcome back into the postgame show. Jay and Elijah with you. Tuesdays mean Shane Beamer speaks ahead of Carolina football games. Well, at least 12 of them a year on Tuesdays. Not every Tuesday.
No. They take the bye weeks off.
That's right. So he won't have one next week. Next week's a bye week, right? Yeah. That's kind of weird.
Having 2?
Bye week, then 3 games in a bye week.
Having 2 in a month stretch.
Yeah. Odd.
Yeah.
And then a lot of games. But November's weird. It's still 30 days long, but it starts on a Friday, so it's a long November.
Yeah. Usually, I'm used to a long December.
Yeah.
Great song.
Let's get into a couple of cuts from Shane before we get back into that SEC Big Ten story. Cut number 2, please, Elijah Campbell, on today's brand new list that Elijah and Tyler have done for us. It's been close. Listen, the Ole Miss game, took yourself out of it early. Could that have been a closer game? Perhaps. But the other 2 losses that you have, they've been tight. Here's Shane on how to get over the hump.
Yeah, I think we're extremely close. Was it 2 losses to top 10 teams by a total of 5 points? I think I'm saying that right. And we had plenty of opportunities in both those games to win it. The thing we've got to do a great job of is finishing. You know, there's a lot of things that are disappointing about those games, but probably the biggest thing for me is just that in both those games, we led going into the fourth quarter. Now, I know LSU scored on the very first play of the fourth quarter, and I think they were like on the 3-yard line, so maybe there's an asterisk next to that one. But if I'm not mistaken, Steve can tell you those are the first 2 times in my time as the head coach that we've ever lost a game that we led going into the fourth quarter, and it's happened twice now. So we've got to finish. How do we finish? We play cleaner football, and we can look back at Saturday in Tuscaloosa, and there's so many opportunities on all 3 phases, offense, defense, and special teams, that we had opportunities to finish that game and not even let it get to a final drive. And a lot of those things are, self-inflicted, whether it be penalties, turnovers, you name it. So we got to you guys know I'm a big fan of Mike Tomlin, and somebody sent me his clip at halftime of I think it was the Cowboys game a couple weeks ago in his post-game interview where they asked him what he got to do in the second half, and he said something along the lines of, we got to quit kicking our own butt before we worry about kicking somebody else's. And we've had a lot of that this year, and we've got to just continue to be better and grow and learn and get better each and every week. And I see a lot of signs of that. So to answer your question, I think we're extremely close, but we also know that the margin for error in this league especially is extremely small.
It's got to be even more frustrating, as he pointed out there multiple times, to know by and large that those 2 games, and again, even the Mississippi game, you did things to yourself. Now, as I say, none of those things happen in a vacuum. So let's say, for an example, there isn't a penalty on the 100-yard interception return against LSU, and Carolina scores and takes a lead there. It alters what LSU is going to do. So yeah, I can't tell you, hey, if all other things are equal, but that's not how life works. That's not how sports works, and butterfly effect and all that. That being said, you do look at multiple things in the LSU game, including the fact that your quarterback went down. You do look at multiple things that you did in the Alabama game. And, like Lenore's talked about that today. We don't have that sound right this second, but Lenore's talked about, hey, I know that my own personal ball security needs work. But I also, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, but I also can't go out there and just, dwell on it, because then that's all I'm thinking about. And, so the point I bring that up for, Elijah, is, where are those margins? Where are those fine lines? Is it just something that's going to ultimately come to this team? I don't know. We talked to Ryan about it. You're getting closer. It's just not happening yet, but it can't continue to be a negative for you if you go lose another close game.
Well, I mean, if this happens the rest of the year, that's all we're going to fixate on once December rolls around, right? I mean, this is a team with the ability to go 7-5 or 8-4, because I don't think it's out of the stretch. I don't think it's too much to ask to go into Clemson 7-4. I think you should beat Oklahoma on the road. That's a wounded duck football team right now. You should take advantage of a team that you are straight up better than right now. I don't think it's a stretch to say that you should split Missouri, Texas A&M at minimum. Because
both here?
Yes, because both those are here, and you cannot go 0 for conference play at home.
In Columbia.
Yeah, that would be a kick to the groin. It's safe to say that Vanderbilt can be a toss-up. And that in a 50-50 game with as well as Vanderbilt's played, I think that could be quite the 50-50 split.
Ryan and I looked it up today, 51-49 computer.
Yeah.
Still favoring Vandy, but it is, as you say.
That's a coin flip.
It's a toss-up.
So if you take care of the coin flip game, take care of business against Wofford, that puts you 7-4 going into the Clemson game, and we're significantly more thrilled with this team. But you're not getting the coin flip game if you're turning the ball over. You're not splitting Missouri and Texas A&M if you continue to turn the ball over. I would hate for us to be having this discussion in December and saying, well, this is a really good defense, the best defense you have had in a long time at this university, where Kyle Kennard and Dylan Stewart are going to be NFL edge rushers one day, and we're going to look back and say, wow, those two played on the same team and they went 5-7. That would be a hard pill to swallow. It's the same pill that Ole Miss fans have to swallow whenever they watch the NFL on Sundays and they're watching DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown do what they do and say, man, we had those two on the same offense and we didn't make a bowl game. Yeah, dude. Yeah, and that's going to be a tough pill to swallow, and it's going to be, you look back at it, the more the years are removed, and you look, man, why could we not be able to get to a bowl game or at least win 7 or 8 games with those two guys on the defense, with a defense that took like 5 or 6 guys to the NFL? What held us back? And you're going to look at things like turnovers, and not just turnovers where a defense makes a great play. You're looking at fumbled exchanges at the mesh point of a read option.
2 games in a row.
2 games in a row where that happens to your quarterbacks, and those were plays that heavily influenced how the game went. And it's going to be the sickest what if you're going to have with this football team. And that's one thing you're just going to have to avoid. I think if you take care of the ball against Oklahoma, you should win by 2 scores. If you just take care of the football. If you take care of the football, you have a really good chance to split that A&M Missouri game. You take care of the football at Vanderbilt, I think you beat Vanderbilt because Vanderbilt has benefited from a lot of turnover luck this year, if we're being honest with ourselves. So if you're able to do that, then you're going to put yourself in a position to go 7-4 into a rivalry game where anything can happen.
I was surprised, and we'll talk more about it throughout the week, but just real quick, to bring up Missouri, Auburn is only a 4.5-point underdog at Missouri. That tells me a lot about what the bookmakers think of Missouri.
Yeah, and what they think about how sustainable Auburn's struggles are. Yeah. Because you know what the big thing with Auburn is? Turning the damn football over. I mean, they're worse than South Carolina is at it. They, like Peyton Thorne, look, listen, y'all, in life, find you somebody who loves you the same way Peyton Thorne loves throwing touchdown passes to the other team, and you'll live a happy relationship, happy marriage, happy life, because that man loves to gift other teams touchdown passes, or at least the ball in an advantageous field position. Auburn is so bad at that. On the field, Auburn should have beaten Oklahoma, but they didn't because of a pick 6 towards the end of the game. They should have beaten Cal if it weren't for 3 interceptions. They should have beaten Arkansas if it weren't for a pick 6 at one point in that game that turned the tide. There were too many instances in Auburn's 2-4 start where they keep drooling all over themselves with the football and gift wrapping touchdowns to the other team that make them 2-4. So that makes sense. I think that's the bookmakers saying, okay, you can't keep doing this all year, to which Auburn may say, watch me, which would be really funny if they kept that bid up.
Hold my beer.
Yeah, hold my beer, buddy. But it's one of those things, man, that Auburn will look at this season and be just as sick to their stomach seeing how many games they gave away because of an inability to just protect the ball, especially at home.
More on the Gamecocks coming up. And are you interested in a potential SEC Big 12 football challenge? There's some news on that. Don't know if you'll like it or not. We'll give you that when the postgame show returns. I want to tell you about our friends at the Joint Chiropractic Centers, local owners Janet and Bob Keene, ready to make sure that you can improve your overall health with affordable, convenient Chiropractic Care. Bothered by back, neck, shoulder, joint pain? They want you to get back in the game at the joint, and it's very convenient. No appointment is ever necessary, and you don't have to worry about anything with insurance. You can be in and out quickly. You won't have to miss your lunch hour, miss any time at work. They're open Monday through Friday, 10 to 7, and Saturdays, 10 to 4. And if you're traveling out of town, have an issue, and need a chiropractic adjustment, you can be seen at any of the hundreds of locations all across the country. Since you'll be in the joints system, a new doctor can access your records to see your treatment history. Here in Columbia, Harbison, Forest Drive, Roberts Branch off Killian, Sunset in Lexington, and online at thejoint.com. You don't have to feel bad to feel better at the Joint Chiropractic Centers.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few accidents to get to that are causing some issues on the roadways this afternoon. We do have an overturned truck that has the entrance to 20 eastbound blocked over on Pond Branch Road at I-20. So be careful going through there. Try to find an alternate route if possible. Also in Lexington County, there's an accident at Highway 302 near US 176 in Charleston Highway. In Richland County, we have 2 accidents active right now. They're causing some traffic backup. One at Hardscrabble Road at Summit Parkway. The other at US 176 at Broad River Road near I-20.
"26 minutes in front of 5 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon. Welcome back into the postgame show. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell with you before we get back into more from Coach Beamer and this SEC Big Ten story. Let's get on the phones, talk a little football and more with you guys. Joe is up next. Hey, Joe, good afternoon.
Hey, guys. How you doing today?
Doing well. Hope you are, sir.
I am. I'm getting old and my memory isn't as good as it used to be. But I remember chatting with you guys on the phone a couple of years ago when Notre Dame was playing South Carolina in the bowl game, and I said I had to root for Notre Dame because St. Peter's doesn't have a football team. And I think Sean was still a coach, or was the coach then. Weren't they losing going into the fourth quarter?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, man. Yeah. I
can look that up real quick.
I'll have to go back to the box score. I'm kind of like you, Joe. I can't always remember all those things. It was a good game, though. I remember that much.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we'll check that out. What else you got?
That was it. I
That's
just
it?
wanted
Okay.
to clarify that because, I said,
Okay. Yeah. And I don't know if Shane was mentioning, trailing going into the fourth quarter. I forget exactly.
Yeah, because they lost the LSU and Alabama game this year after having leads going into the fourth quarter. And I think he alluded to that was the only times that he's lost a game going into the fourth quarter while leading. Looking at the score right now, it was South Carolina led that bowl game against Notre Dame 24-17 at halftime. 24-31. It was tied at 31 going into the fourth quarter.
Okay.
So they did not lead, but it was tied.
Okay. That was a good game. Carolina just really couldn't stop Notre Dame's running game that day.
Yeah, that was a really fun bowl game.
Yeah.
They don't get a ton of fun bowl
Right.
games.
That was a good game. Some people don't want to hear me say that. Yeah, they can be entertaining.
And you still lose.
Yeah. Well, I said too. Look, and again, I'm not trying to make this about any. If you heard yesterday's discussion, or if you follow along on Twitter or whatever, that's fine. Listen, the Carolina-Bama game, tight, close, exciting. Yes, when you are the team that loses and you pull hard for that team, you're upset. But Ohio State, Oregon was exciting. Florida, Tennessee was exciting. LSU, Ole Miss was exciing. I mean, these were good games, man. Southern Cal, Penn State. I mean, these were. That's what you want. That's why I'm a sports fan. And I don't know what's going to happen. I like exciting movies and things, and yes, I've seen Raiders of the Lost Ark or Die Hard a gajillion times. Yes, I know what's going to happen, but there is that element of yes, I know what's going to happen. In sports, I don't.
That's the best part, man.
That's why a lot of people are such big sports fans. That's why TV networks are falling over themselves to pay even more money. Yeah, because it's exciting.
There's a money war to be able to broadcast these things because it's magical, man. You can't. It's hard to replicate fall Saturdays, like the one we just had,
right?
With all the overtime games, all the drama, all the unexpected results. Like 2 weeks ago, one of my favorite college football podcasts dubbed it Blood Week, with what happened with Alabama and Tennessee, and all the upsets that happened with Missouri getting smacked. Like you had number 1, number 4, number 9, number 11. All lose in various ways. Like those are the type of weeks that make those large TV contracts totally worth it.
Speaking of Bama, Tennessee, surprised that Tennessee is a home dog?
Nope.
No?
I fully expect Alabama to win that game.
Okay. I was a little surprised.
It's what? Wait, I haven't seen the lines. 3?
3.
Interesting.
Yeah, Tennessee +3 in Knoxville.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me at all. Alabama's a better team.
Let's see what Randall has to say here on a Tuesday afternoon. Hey, Randall, how are you?
Well, I'm doing great, guys. Hope you all are as well.
Thank you.
So, real quick, like the Tennessee game you just talking about, the reason that they're dogs is because their offense has been a dog for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it's been bad.
So if you look at, it's been a I don't know, the out of rhythm or something, but getting back on to the Gamecocks and their streak or lack of streak or wins or lack of wins. The LSU game and the Alabama game were great in its side, and the Old Dominion game was just awful. And then in between, but the reason we lost to Kentucky, the Alabama game was the fumble. Look at it any way you want to. We got an interception. We fumbled right down on the 30-yard line. They scored a touchdown. Difference in the game.
Yep.
So let that said, that's come from young players, and young players make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, but young players are going to make mistakes. You got to live with it. So, but the LS schemes are totally different. The LS scheme, I was there. The LSU game was actually the reason we lost that is those striped shirts. Whether you like it or not, there was 2 calls that were very questionable that called back 2 touchdowns, which killed momentum for South Carolina Gamecocks. That defense won that game. That's all I got to say. y'all have a great day.
All
And
right,
go
man.
Cox.
Yeah, appreciate you. It's funny. I was watching Josh Pate's Sunday show. CBS Sports, Josh Pate has his podcast that he does 3 times a week. And he goes over all of the games. It's like an hour-and-a-half long show 3 times a week. But he was going over Carolina, Alabama, and he was talking about South Carolina. And it surprised me a little bit. He didn't say it quite as strongly as Randall just did. But he did say, hey, you know, South Carolina fans, you probably think that the refs took that one from you too. Something to that effect. But he did say at the LSU game, as I've said, I try not to dwell on those things. I don't disagree. But I also know there were some other things that you did to yourself. And again, if Lenore, I'm going to probably go back. Yes, those 2 pick sixes being called back are killed. The second one especially. But I will always ask myself, too, as I remember that as part of the overall narrative of that game, if you will, what if Lenore's doesn't get hurt?
I think that had a bigger impact.
I really do.
That had a significantly bigger impact.
That to me, it's Lenore's couldn't play in the second half, and he was dealing.
And LSU had no answer for that read option.
He was dealing.
None.
And so that's what's going to stick out to me. Again, I'm not saying, Randall, to you or anybody that feels the way you do, that's the wrong way to think about it. But in my mind, when I go back in the archive one day, the things that are going to pop into my, that was the game where Lenoris got hurt and couldn't play the second half. And, again, the adjustment that LSU made was, all right, let's figure out what to do a little bit better against this defense. The adjustment Carolina made was, let's see if we can let Robbie throw the football.
It did kind of feel like hold on for dear life in that fourth quarter.
And again, they called like 6 pass plays, and
they only threw 4 times.
Yeah, and then a couple of them he just decided he didn't want to throw. And anyway. But, it hurt, man. It hurt.
I will say, yes, was the call questionable? Yes. But like what Ryan mentioned when he was here, just this past hour, where he said, you see what Dylan Stewart did after the interception on Jalen Milroe?
Yeah.
You can lay up.
You got to learn, man.
Like that, and that's a learning curve, which that shows some football maturity right there throughout the course of the season. Like there are things that you can control, and don't put yourself in a position for a human to make a human decision, a bad human decision.
Yeah, and I think that was the theme you and I had that week, was if you give them something to think about, sometimes it goes for you.
Yeah.
But if you don't have anything in front of them, then they got no decision to make.
Exactly.
And that's the better way for me anyway, that's the better way to process that, I suppose, is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But that'll always be part of the story. But to me, it's, man, what if Lenoris could play? Because he was playing really well.
They had nothing for him.
And you can adjust too.
Zip.
You can find ways to make those little tweaks in the second half, or find some ways to get something done. We'll see. Again, Gamecocks +3 this weekend, 40.5 over under. So
I still kind of like the under. I'm thinking like 17-13 game is how it will ultimately play out.
Yeah. That's way under, man. You might get like a double bonus if you went under 30.
Can I get an alternate line?
Yeah, like
30 and a half?
What do I do if I go under 30?
Can I call my shot on the over under here?
Somebody will let you.
Well, there's a sports book somewhere that would like for me to invest a lot of money that I won't get back.
Happy for you to take 30.5 under and see what happens. All right, we'll come back. Are the SEC and Big Ten any closer to a football challenge, kind of like what they do in basketball, or is it all a pipe dream? And do you even want this? Is this the thing you've been asking for? Details when the postgame show returns. Welcome back into the postgame show. 12 in front of 5 on this Tuesday afternoon. Coming up at the top of the hour, headlines of the day. Got some good ones for you, including a few different nuggets out of the National Football League and what's going on over at SEC Tip-Off. That's the football version of Media Days. I see our old stomping grounds at the Winfrey Hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been to a few events there.
With the big giant chandeliers hanging down. I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember those chandeliers. It's been a while.
It's fancy. It's a fancy hotel.
Well, it's fancy-ish. But it does remind me, it's probably time for the Winfrey to maybe upgrade, modernize.
You know what? I like the character that the Winfrey provides.
Yeah. I just remember, I got to do this quick because I got this story I want to get to. They did modernize a little bit in the lobby area of the Winfrey a few years back, but before that, they had sort of the lobby furniture was nice, but it had kind of I don't know, I'm not good on like eras and styles, but it felt very kind of colonial, maybe Victorian, like it just that like stuff you would see like at your great grandma's house or something, or just somewhere, you know what I'm saying? And on the day that Alabama came, all their fans, like they come in, like even Auburn fans are like just the numbers are just so small compared to the Bama fans that came in, right? And again, it's really nice furniture. Dude, one dude has his like 20-year-old like fold up Alabama tailgate chair, right? And he just plops it down right next to this like, $5,000 couch.
Having those two together in the same space.
Yes, and the dichotomy of it throughout the day, because dude just sat there, and he was, I don't know how old he was, in his 60s probably. And I forget what he was wearing, Bama T-shirt, and and it was just like, it was great, man. That's all I can say. It's like this really nice hotel lobby furniture, and dude in his worn-out Bama tailgate chair.
The one thing I think missing from having SEC Media Days in Dallas this past year was not having enough of that.
Yeah, the fans
right there.
I know you saw where they were, but they were so far away from us. They never, because they were not allowed up at all.
Yeah.
But the Winfrey is a far more intimate location. I will say that much. It is.
Yeah. It's got to get character to it.
But that event outgrew the Winfrey. I mean, sorry, Birmingham, but it
It outgrew the city of Birmingham.
Sorry, Hoover. There's probably something downtown in Birmingham that could house it. Again, this is a hotel that's attached to a mall in the suburbs. But it's a fine hotel.
It's kind of off and away. I liked it. I never stayed there. I've gone for basketball media days.
Yeah,
but
it's fine.
Basketball media day. They condense it all into one afternoon.
I hate to say it, they've spoiled us with Omni hotels and Grand Hyatts and whatnot. Like you can't go back to the Winfrey
in
now.
larger cities.
Yeah, can't go back now. So anyway, real quick here. Speaking of the SEC, Dennis Dodd amongst several media outlets, including USA Today, that have reported that the Big Ten and SEC are in preliminary discussions about having a series of non-conference football games scheduled against one another. According to this, it's been confirmed. It says sources confirmed to CBS Sports that teams from the FBS two strongest conferences would play as many as 12 to 16 challenge games, similar to the non-conference blockbuster matchups in major college basketball. Again, I'm reading verbatim. For television purposes, media rights holders would probably be interested mostly in the name brands, such as Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Wisconsin, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and LSU for starters. We had the quote that we had a couple weeks ago from Greg Sankey, I guess when they were having the meeting last week, I guess it was. Greg had never been to a game at Ann Arbor and was there for the Texas game and just said, man, we basically, in so many words, we got to do more of this. And Bama, of course, went to Camp Randall this year and thoroughly beat Wisconsin, but it was still cool to have Alabama go to Wisconsin, and I guess Wisconsin makes a return trip soon enough. I'm all for this. Yeah, and again, is it a matter of the SEC adding that ninth game? A lot of that hinges on what Disney decides they want to do once Disney is kind of making its way through a few other, big business deals at this point in time. Both commissioners, Petitti and Sankey, saying we're going to allow this year's version of an expanded college football playoff to unfold in front of us and see exactly how the committee looks at our teams, our leagues, how many schools we get in. You know, at what point is the line drawn to cut a team off? Is it going to be strength of schedule? Is it going to be record? There's still going to be a lot of subjectivity, Elijah, in terms of your record in this sport. That's going to happen for a few years, and that's fine. I think they understand that. But moving forward, what does it look like? It's going to behoove you to do this from a pure financial standpoint. But if it doesn't help you get into a tournament, then, or if it's, you know, held against you in some way if you lose, then maybe it's not as attractive. But financially speaking, I can't possibly imagine this is anything but more lucrative.
Oh, yeah. Well, if they do this, they're also going to lobby so hard to get a guaranteed,
yes,
certain amount of teams in. And it won't stop there either. Say, like, you have, you know, we expand this bad boy to 14, and the Big Ten and SEC say we should get 3 each, minimum. Then that's not, which would be really dumb. Because that's also not merit-based. At that point, I don't really care how good those 3 teams are. You are kind of participation trophying your own conferences off and kind of minimizing the accomplishments that they would make if they were to get in.
Yeah,
because conferences do have down years.
Yeah,
but
so in a year when there's a down year, then it's going to be
then it's a terrible look for the entire sport. But I think my only holdback, if you're these conferences, yes, it would benefit you financially to have more of these games. But at the same time, the cannibalization between conferences, too, I think there's a real factor there, especially if you're not able to see a good chunk of your own conference on a year-in, year-out basis.
Again, this says talks are very preliminary, long way to go. Continued discussion will take place. So this is not, like we're going to be announcing dates in the next couple of weeks. Nothing like that. But I'll be far more surprised if this does not happen in the near future. Hour 3 coming up. I want to tell you about our good friends at AAA Heating and Air. So good at what they do. So good, in fact, that it is time once again for them to grow their business. They are looking for brand new technicians to join their family. And Roy and Dana Finley want to let you know that they have the highest pay in the industry. They have a comprehensive benefits package, including 401k, insurance, so much more, take-home vehicle. If this is something that interests you, if you are in this business and are ready to make a change and work for a company that continues to grow and treat its folks very, very well, then use the same number customers would use. Call them up. Tell them you're interested. 803-677-1500. Tell them you heard about it right here on 107.5 The Game and that you are interested in a career move and working with the great people at AAA Heating and Air. Again, they're fantastic. Met a lot of their techs. Know Roy and Dana. Good people. 803-677-1500. AAA Heating and Air.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. A few accidents to get to you that are causing some issues on the roadways here this Tuesday afternoon. And we'll start over near Gilbert. We have an overturned truck. Looks like a gasoline tanker rollover that has blocked the entrance to 20 eastbound. That's over near Pond Branch Road at I-20, so avoid that area if possible. We still have some other active accidents that are causing some current traffic backups. We got one in Richland County on US 176 at Broad River Road near I-20, one on Turkey Farm Road between Fulmer Road and Wilson Boulevard, one on Brookfield Road near East Boundary Road, and in Lexington County we got one on Highway 302 near US 176 and US 21 near Charleston Highway.
It is 5 o'clock news time on this Tuesday. Welcome back in. Final hour of the postgame show as well. Alongside Elijah Campbell, I'm Jay Phillips. We appreciate you being with us. Tuesdays during football season means Shane Beamer press conferences. Carolina at Oklahoma this Saturday. It's a 12:45 Eastern kickoff, 11:45 Central, so a second straight morning kickoff for the Gamecocks. 3-point underdogs is Coach Beamer's team. A lot that he got to today, and will continue sound throughout the course of the hour. But Shane today was asked, amongst many other things, was Saturday's performance in Tuscaloosa Lenoris Sellers' best game so far?
Yeah, I thought it was a heck of a performance to be able to go, on the road in that stadium. And Joe D. Camillus and I were talking about it last week. Go back and look at the quarterbacks that have won in that stadium. There's very few. Johnny Manziel, Joe Burrow, Quinn Ewers. I'm not even sure. There's not many after that, if there are any. So Lenoris was right on the verge of being able to add his name to legendary quarterbacks that have won in that stadium. Cam Newton as well. So, he was right there. So it says a lot about him. It says a lot about the people around him, the way that Mike Shula and Dow Loggins have coached him, the way that the receivers and the running backs and the tight ends continue to get better around him. You give credit to Lenoris, the kind of kid he is, young man, the competitor he is, his poise. But I think it's also probably the biggest thing, Jordan, is just the experience. I mean, you think about it. He started Old Dominion. He got knocked out of the Kentucky game, so he missed time in the Kentucky game. He got knocked out of the LSU game. He didn't play the whole second half. He missed the Akron game, and then he came back against Ole Miss and then obviously Alabama. So he's still young and hasn't played a ton of football this season. So I think it was just a natural progression of just him continuing to get experience and being comfortable and making plays without a doubt.
It's going to be interesting this weekend what he has learned, and as you may have heard me say, we'll have more sound from the players throughout the week. But Lenoris did speak today, was asked about ball security, and said, "I know it's an issue, but I can't dwell too much on it." I'm paraphrasing, but he said, "I can't dwell on it. I've got to just go out and continue to learn and grow." And yes, I understand I can't let go of the football. Or yes, I know sometimes I've got to be smarter with the football, because ball security is not only about, necessarily just not fumbling the football, but what you do, as Ryan said, it's the football. What are you doing with the football? Sometimes don't try to make three things happen at once, when the only thing that needs to happen is one thing. And when that stops being a thing for Lenoris, because I really do believe that's what it is. I need to make a play. Oh, I can't make that play. Oh, I need to make another play. Oh, I'll try to make that. And then.
Yeah. Well, so much of quarterbacking is weighing out risk and reward, right? When you're surveying the field and you're trying to choose which window to throw it to, you got to be able to do the one and say, hey, if it's 3rd and 8, which one's closest to the sticks and gives the best chance of making a first down? Which one is, the safest pass? Where's the safest pass? What's the, the high risk, high reward pass? You're weighing out all of these in a matter of 2.5 seconds, right? So for a lot of quarterbacks, that amount of time, that limited amount of time, especially if your offensive line is having a hard time keeping up with their assignments, is the passing part of that, and your risk aversion or your risk assessment in real time can be tested. That's a really hard thing to do for a young quarterback. And I think he's getting better with that through the passing game. I think now the risk assessment that he has to make in real time comes from what happens whenever you're getting tackled. Like when can you take a sack? When do you absolutely must positively have to throw the ball away? And when can you make that decision before actually trying to do it? Because there's a difference between making the decision and then doing it, right? Because that fumble he had early in the game where he was on the ground and you could tell he's trying to throw the ball, throw it incomplete, and then you can tell maybe at the end he changed his mind because his hand kind of stiffens up a little bit, and that's where the fumble happened. At that point, you kind of have to make a decision and fully commit to it. At that point, you can't half make that decision. So that's only a small element of being a quarterback and making sure that you're taking care of the football.
And whether
it's not just fumbles.
Yeah, whether it's home or road, it gets difficult. But certainly when you go into to even more historic places to play, it can maybe creep into your brain. And Shane was asked about that too, not just about how it affects Lenoris, but just in general when you play in really difficult road environments.
Sorry. Yeah, you went from a hostile environment and one of the great storied programs of college football and one of the great stadiums in college football last week in Tuscaloosa to now we get to do that again this week as well. And we talked about it this morning in our team meeting, just because none of our guys have been there, and other than Davis Bevel, who transferred from there, but just the tradition and what the stadium's like and all the great traditions that they have there, the Sooner Schooner and the Roughnecks and the end zone that shoot their shotguns and everything. I mean, it's just a really cool place. But I would hope that, last Saturday, never once, and I'm not knocking Alabama, but never once did I feel like our team was affected by the crowd noise and the environment. I never felt like there was a time where our guys just looked up and were like, oh my God. If they did a great job of disguising it. And I would hope that Saturday would be the same thing. We know it'll be another hostile environment. They sell out every home game. Every year, Saturday will be no different. But I think just the experience of, okay, we've been to Kentucky, we won, we played in front of went to a stadium Saturday that was a lot more people than what we've went up against in Kentucky and Lexington, just the size of the stadium. We did okay from handling the crowd for the most part. And I think just kind of going back to Jordan's question with Lenoris, it's the same thing with the whole team in regards to just the experience of being on the road and being able to handle road environments as well.
More from Coach Beamer coming up in just a little bit. Our own Elijah Campbell was down there with a couple of very good questions, and we'll let him set those up for you coming up in just a little bit. Continuing our integrated media headlines of the day to the NFL, where there are a lot of news items to get to. First, the big trades that have happened today. The Bills got Amari Cooper from the Browns, who have basically said, yeah, we're done.
You hear that sound?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the Cleveland Browns. That's their right foot punting on the season.
They're done.
The ball's in the air and some serious hang time. Goodness gracious.
The Bills get Cooper and a 25 sixth round pick for a 25 third and seventh round pick. So there you go. Basically, this is a big salary dump too. Although, as Elijah pointed out, the salary cap hit this year, not so daunting. Not even $1 million.
Yeah, $806,000 to be exact.
Basically, because Cleveland converted a lot of his salary to a signing bonus, which again, I say to all these billionaire owners, y'all all ought to be doing that. You want to get around the rules if it's as easy as that.
The late great Floyd Reese, who used to work with in Nashville, used to call that the funny money. The funny money in the NFL is what wins you Super Bowls.
If that's all it takes, then do it. Anyway, there you go. And, of course, Stephon Diggs on to Houston. So there has been a lack of production for Josh Allen, and this should help.
Yeah.
Should.
It would be a huge help.
I
think
feel
Amari
like
Cooper still got some in the tank. He's just 30.
He's 30. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, a couple good years
he's
there.
Good. Another big-time receiver moving today. It's been reported for a while that Devontae Adams wanted out of Vegas. And today he got his wish. Now, he basically said, I want to go play with Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr. Well, Derek Carr's hurt, so he doesn't want to go to New Orleans anymore. So they made a move with the Jets. So Devontae will head there. Of course, they have a long relationship, Devontae and Aaron, from their days in Green Bay. The Raiders get a conditional third-round pick that could improve to a second-round pick if Adams is a first or second-team All-Pro this season or is on the Jets' active roster if they make the AFC Championship game or the Super Bowl.
That's hilarious. I don't even think we have to put an F right next there when they don't make it.
To all you Jets fans out there, I'm pulling for you.
No, you're not.
You know what? I got nothing against the Jets. It's just they're the Jets. I don't feel about them the way I do about the Mets.
Which you love.
Even if for, 30 years they shared a stadium out there in Queens. That's all they got in common from my point of view.
The football equivalent.
I don't know. I feel like the Jets are more like the Cubs, man.
No, the Jets, at least
Cubs
in the last 15 years, did go to back-to-back AFC championship games.
I was going to say
same way the Mets at least went to a World Series in 15.
Yeah, that's true.
Went to an NLCS in 2006.
The Mets do spend a lot of money to not be very good, but that's why I'm afraid this year it's going to come back to roost, and I think the Mets,
and they're the little brother of their own town.
Yeah, they are. I think the Mets are going to beat the Dodgers
because baseball. Yeah,
makes me kind of ill.
I can see it in your face, and I'm actually really uncomfortable for you.
I think they are. Well, I'm feeling it right now. I could use a little Maalox or Pepto right now.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it kind of churns those innards.
Just thinking of Grimace hoisting a World Series trophy.
Man, that just sounds terrible. Well, they can make the World Series. They just better not win. At that point, Subway Series or whatever, I don't care. Because Cleveland ain't beating New York.
You don't think so?
No. Albert Bell ain't walking through that door.
He's not, but I do believe in magic and miracles.
We'll see. Anyway, there you go. So, two big trades. Speaking of the NFL, one more big piece of news. The owners today have voted on the 2028 Super Bowl. And good news, fans in the South. It's going to be close to you over in Atlanta. 2028 at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It says Arthur Blank, this is a tremendous honor for the city of Atlanta and the state of Georgia to be selected as host for Super Bowl 62. Thank you to my fellow owners for their trust in awarding Atlanta this opportunity, and to Commissioner Goodell, Peter O'Reilly, I don't know who that is, and the entire
O'Reilly's Auto Parts,
and the entire league for their continued leadership in making the NFL the greatest sports league in the world. Again, this will be Atlanta's 4th Super Bowl. Atlanta is very good at hosting this type of event.
Trying to think of the others. The Patriots-Rams one, you had Titans-Rams.
Yep. And then 1994.
That's right. Bills and Cowboys.
Yeah.
That's it. So that would be the others.
There you go.
The Rams have played in 2/3 of them.
How about that? Maybe they'll be back. I don't know. Let's see. 26 is out in Santa Clara. 27.
I hate when they play them out there on the West Coast.
In L.A. at SoFi. Well, where's this year's?
This year's is
New Orleans.
in New Orleans, yeah.
Okay, there you go.
I love when they're in New Orleans. Superdome is a beautiful Super Bowl venue, like aesthetically on TV.
Yeah. There you go. All right, so that's what they voted on today. Speaking of baseball, coming back around to that, yesterday the New York Mets beat the LA Dodgers 7-3, while the New York Yankees beat the Cleveland Guardians 5-2. NLCS is off today as those teams travel back to Queens tonight, 7:30. Yanks Guardians Game 2 in the Bronx, Los Bronx. And that is our headlines of the day. Coming up in the drive around the SEC, by the way, again, SEC tip-off has occurred, so we'll give you the order of finish in men's and women's basketball. One of them won't be too hard to figure out. The other, you might be surprised.
I would say one's very guessable.
One seems to be unanimous. Yeah. So they've earned it. We'll get into that for you. But on the other side of the break, back into some sound from Coach Shane Beamer as the Gamecocks get ready for Oklahoma and try to win one of these close games in conference play. You're listening to the Postgame Show. 18 minutes after 5 o'clock on this Tuesday afternoon. Jay and Elijah with you. We have some breaking news. This came down while we were doing our news segment, so let us get straight into it. I mentioned that the NFL ownership meetings today included a vote to give Atlanta the Super Bowl in 4 years' time. Also today, the league did approve Tom Brady's purchase of a minority stake in the Raiders. I'm going to come back around to that one because that's the bulk of the story. But in this same piece, this is pretty cool. Columbia's own Richard Seymour was also approved for a minority purchase in the Raiders organization. So
nice.
Congratulations to Richard, the former LR superstar. Of course, played his college ball at the University of Georgia. Raiders and Pats in his career. So congratulations to Richard. That's a big deal. Coming back around to Tom Brady, this one's a little more interesting. Elijah's going to read to you real quick what any owner, minority, majority, whatever, anyone that has an ownership stake in an NFL club is prohibited from doing.
Yes, of course. This is from Seth Wickersham. Here's Tom Brady's restrictions as now a Fox broadcaster. Not permitted to be in another team's facility. He is not permitted to witness practice. He is not permitted to attend broadcast production meetings either in person or virtually. He is prohibited from publicly criticizing game officials in other clubs. He is subject to the NFL's gambling policy, subject to the NFL's anti-tampering policy.
All right, the last two, as a broadcaster, all right, yeah. But the rest of it, and you're the ace broadcaster or analyst now. You're the number one chair for analysts for the Fox network. You can't go to a production meeting. You can't go to see somebody else practice or be in their facility. How are you supposed to properly do your job? And I mean this from the standpoint that Fox and Brady knew going in that those things would be prohibited. Now, I get, look, he's Tom Brady. I get it. But Fox, you got to know that because this pursuit of a minority stake, because apparently it's a rather significant stake. I don't know how much Tom Brady is worth. But I do know that one of the things that there was some concern over was that Mark Davis was maybe like trying to cut him like on some kind of discount. And the NFL is not at all about that because your valuation is your valuation. And anytime there is, even if you bought 0.1% of a stake in a franchise, that stake has to be valued for the entire franchise. So an owner can't just come to you and say, hey, like the Rooneys can't come to you, Elijah, and go, Elijah, you want to buy 1% of the Steelers or 0.1% of the Steelers? We'll sell it to you for $25.
Can't do that.
They can't do that. What's the value of the franchise? And you got to go through the whole process of figuring out the value of the franchise, and then you take that percentage.
It has to get approved.
And then it has to get approved. And it's taken a really long time for a new valuation of the Raiders to be done and to make sure, because Mark Davis, and then vote on it. So today they approved it. But if you're Fox, and maybe you just don't care if you're Fox, I don't know. But if you're Fox and you're the NFL production team, or you're a dude like Greg Olson, all right, who just was unceremoniously dumped after doing a really good job as their lead analyst for a couple of years.
Despite being better at the job.
Yeah. But part of how a good analyst does his or her job is pregame visits during the week at the facilities, plural. And certainly at least at the home team's facility, say Thursday and Friday when you arrive in town. And you go to practice and you watch some of the players, and you can't like report on it. You can only use it for background during your broadcast.
You can say they practiced it during the broadcast, which does give value to the broadcast. That helps tell the story of what's going on. Yeah.
And now he can't do any of that. If I'm Fox, why do I still hey Tom, what'd you see this week? Nothing. Hey Tom, who'd you talk to this week? Nobody. Great analyst.
Yeah. Oh, and he can't like criticize officiating or other teams.
That was a bad call there. Tom, your thoughts? Thanks, Tom. But this is terrible.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
It's a waste of money. It's flushing all, $300 million?
Way too much. And they knew this going in.
Tom Brady just flushed it down the toilet.
So how? I mean, there's already
stupid.
Like he's doing fine. I've listened to a couple of games. I watch Red Zone. I freely admit that. So I've not yet sat for an entire Tom Brady broadcast. I'm not the guy that tunes in for the announcers anyway. I mean, listen, after Summerall and Madden were gone, it just didn't matter anymore because that was like, I don't care what John Madden was doing. I watched, but that's different. And those days are over. There is no more John Madden. But in all seriousness, I'm there to watch football, but I watch Red Zone. So I hear a little bit of Tom Brady here and there, and he's doing fine. I don't care. I don't care enough. But now if you're telling me he can't prepare for his job, and I'm not saying like, oh, poor Tom Brady. I'm saying stupid Fox.
And stupid Tom Brady.
You can't do your job with.
It's like, dude, Tom Brady, get over yourself, dude. Pick one or the other.
Yeah.
Just get over yourself.
Well, this would
at
be
some point. It's a vanity project. He's doing this just to be on TV and don't forget about me type thing. Same reason he came out of retirement 2 weeks after doing it. Oh, I'm hanging him up, calling it quits.
Yeah.
On then Selection Sunday.
Yeah.
You know what? Don't forget about me. You know what? I'm coming back. Right. Don't forget about Tom. What it feels like to me.
So this is all very odd. Now, does Tom Brady petition the league for access? Is he going to be prohibited from doing game? I mean, I just don't. Because even if it's something you're not trying to do, if you're privy to something, or, maybe you could still have some visits with some of these guys, but they just, you're not getting anything. You're not getting any inside intel. You're not getting anything. I mean, coaches and players are often very willing on background, not even so much off the record, just on background, to give the play-by-play team some info to use.
Mm-hmm. Which is why there's value there for those broadcasters.
And now they're just not going to want to. I don't know. This is odd to me,
especially given Tom Brady's history of playing for teams that would have cameras at other team walkthroughs. And in general, if Tom Brady's owning the Raiders, and I know let's say I'm Sean Payton. No, I don't want Tom Brady within 50 miles of my team's facility. I want him to have nothing to do with any information regarding my team. Because you know what Tom Brady still is? Hyper competitive.
Yeah.
You know what he's going to want the Raiders to do whenever he has that minority stake? Them to win Super Bowls because that means more money for him. And naturally, I just think if you're him, you just got to choose one or the other, man. Or else you're not going to be able to do both to the best ability.
So, again, interesting turn of events. But all it says here, it doesn't say what the vote was. It just says he needed 24 of 32 votes. But it doesn't say, at least can't find anything whether it was unanimous, anybody voted against him. I'm not seeing any of that. And it says, in this piece I'm looking at, it says Brady's new job as a broadcaster with Fox also was an issue because it could represent a conflict of interest. This is from the AP. So we'll see. I guess with more detail. I mean, this came down not 20 minutes ago, so we'll still be digging into exactly how this is all going to be settled. Real quick, as we mentioned too, Columbia's own Richard Seymour has also been approved as a minority owner of the Raiders, and he did issue a quick statement, quote, "I'm deeply grateful, humbled, and honored to become an NFL owner. This is the mission of a lifetime, and I accept it with both purpose and pride. With great opportunity comes great responsibility, and I pledge to be a worthy steward of our game and all it makes possible." So, again, all you LR Diamond Hornets out there, be proud.
That's right. Today's a big win.
That's a big deal. Good stuff. All right, drive around the SEC on the other side of the break. A little bit more from Shane. And again, basketball media days, tip-off, they call it, over in Hoover, has taken place. Men's and women's vote. We'll get into all that for you when the postgame show returns. It's mid-October now. The fair's in town. Soon enough, the holidays will be here. That means college and pro football playoffs are getting closer. Bowl games getting closer. Basketball season right around the corner. And, of course, all your favorite holiday movies, specials, concerts. Ready to watch all those things better than ever? Then it is time for you to call my good friends at Integrated Media. Just like Santa, they make house calls. See what I did there? Thank you. Beautiful state-of-the-art HD TVs in almost every size you can imagine. Lifelike sound from in-ceiling or in-wall speakers. The Dolby Atmos systems are amazing. Or the flexibility of a complete Sonos system. You can pick it up and move it around. They can also place control of everything you do right in the palm of your hand with the Control4 app. You can literally run things from pretty much anywhere on the planet as long as you got an internet connection. Call them up. See what they can do for you. 803-948-8327. Brighten the fall, the holidays, and the new year with one call to Integrated Media.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few accidents to get to that are causing some issues on the roadways this afternoon. We still have some issues on Pond Branch Road at I-20 where an overturned truck or a gasoline tanker rollover has the entrance to 20 eastbound blocked, so avoid that if all possible. Got a lot of accidents here in Richland County, it looks like, starting with one on Whaley Street near Wayne Street, one on US 176 at Broad River Road near I-20, another on Turkey Farm Road between Fulmer Road and Wilson Boulevard, one on Sumter Street near Pendleton Street, another one on Rabin Road at Farrow Road, one on Peach Festival Road near Spring Hill Road, one on I-26 westbound at I-20 near exit 107B, and on Farrow Road at Highway 555 at Killian Road.
It is Drive Around the SEC time. Welcome back in. Jay and Elijah with you. Real quick addendum to what we were just discussing with Tom Brady's purchase of a minority stake in the Raiders. It's 5%. The Raiders currently valued at $6.7 billion, meaning Tom Brady's stake in the team is currently valued at $335 million. So that's what Tom is paying in.
That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money. Good luck.
No small stake.
We'll see what else happens again with all the other broadcasting stuff that he's no longer officially privy to. But that's a topic for another day. So Shane Beamer speaking today ahead of Carolina at Oklahoma. Our own Elijah Campbell was down there with a couple of. I mean, there was today the mood was good. Considering what happened, you gotta move on.
He was candid, too.
Yeah.
I appreciate coaches being candid in these type of settings and not just kind of giving you
all kinds of restaurant tips, too.
At the end, it made me upset that I'm not going to Norman, Oklahoma.
Kind of feel the same way.
It made me a little hungry.
But it also made me think that if there's a home game, all those places are going to be jam-packed all weekend.
That's true.
So, it's better to go on like a Tuesday.
Yes, in the middle of the week. So if you're on the beat, you get there a little early and get yourself into one of those fine establishments because they all sounded delicious.
They did, yeah. Unless you want to eat at like 4:30.
Which, I mean, isn't terrible.
I don't like eating at 4:30.
I can eat at any time, man. Yeah. Anytime.
I did like how he said about the ice cream place, like just go and thank me later. I love saying thank me later because when I'm so confident in something,
that implies that it's a layup. It's a guarantee.
Yeah.
Or slam dunk, if you will.
But you had a couple of things on the docket as well.
Yeah, I wanted to, because obviously the big topic of discussion that we're going to be having is, how are you not closing out games? Well, some of that is turning the ball over. Well, in his opening statement, Shane made sure to mention that this Oklahoma team is number 7 in the country at forcing turnovers. So I asked, how are you going to be able to make sure that you keep the ball safe enough to not have some of those pivotal turnovers late in a game against a team that, quite frankly, is designed and really good at removing you from the football?
Yeah. One, they're 7th, and I think we're 12th in the country in takeaways. So it's going to be a battle of, we got to get some takeaways ourselves because I think turnovers in a game like this are huge. We saw that last week in Tuscaloosa. So for us, we always emphasize it every week in practice. We do multiple things about it. So you don't really change what you're doing, but you certainly just continue to just coach it and the details of how we want to get the ball out and how we want to protect the football as well, not just on offense, defense, but special teams. We knocked the ball out on the kickoff the other day against Alabama, and would have been going into that game. Alabama's kickoff returners had fumbled the ball 3 times on returns this year, so we challenged our guys to go get number 4, and we knocked it out, and we just weren't quite able to recover it. So I think it's emphasizing it like we're doing, but then I think on Saturday it's going to be about just straining and finishing plays, and that's the thing that jumps off the tape when you watch Oklahoma's defense is just how hard they play, and they're flying around, and so many of their sacks, so many of their turnovers have come on just unbelievable effort where a guy gets blocked twice and just refuses to stay blocked, and he gets off 2 blocks that they're basically double teaming him, and he sacks the Auburn quarterback or sacks the Tulane quarterback or whoever it might be. So we've got to play with great effort and play with great technique on all 3 phases.
It's one of those things, I suppose. Like, it's not hard. You just have to go do it, for some of the things with ball security and some of that kind of stuff. But when you're in, as you pointed out about Lenoris, we're trying to think of 4, 5, 6 things running through your head, and you have 3 or 4 seconds to process it all. And then before you know it, I don't have the ball anymore. Little things that can finally add up. But, they work on it. I think a lot of fans get frustrated, not just Carolina fans. Anybody, it's kind of like free throw. Do they practice free throw? Yeah. And they know that they can't turn the ball over. Now, you ask, and I'm with you. Why are they still doing it? I don't know. Again, I was as upset as anybody, I assure you. And when Lenoris turned the ball over after that beautiful interception,
especially when it's just their fundamental things.
Yeah, and it's like no. I think I even said to somebody that I was watching with, this is why they can't have nice things. Like, you just
This is odd.
So for all who think,
Yes.
I'm nothing but like, smiles and sunshine about everything, no matter what. No, I'm not.
There's a dark
I
side.
get it.
Phillips.
I get it, but you got to find a way to move on. But that's not all you asked today, sir.
That's not, no. Because one thing, if Michael Hawkins is to be the starting quarterback for Oklahoma, which I think we all believe he will be, he has an element that Jackson Arnold doesn't have, and that's actually been a little bit of a positive for the Sooners this year, is that he can get out of the pocket, he can scramble, he can pick up yards with his legs. And, he played a quarterback who was probably the best of that in the country this past week in Jalen Milroe. And yes, while he did get a couple short yardage touchdowns, for the most part, he didn't run all over you. And you're able to get to him 4 times. There's not going to be a lot of teams that sack Jalen Milroe 4 times. So I asked Coach Beamer why exactly his defense is so well equipped to handle quarterbacks like Jalen Milroe and Michael Hawkins, who are great scrambling quarterbacks.
When you look at it, Jackson Arnold, the previous quarterback, did a lot of really good things this year. You watch his tape, and he made some big-time throws. And then
Nope, try this again. I clicked on the wrong one.
need to knock on wood on that one for sure. It starts with you go from the back to the front. Certainly the coverage in the secondary. Milroe got us on one last week on that first drive where he scrambled out of the pocket and hit number 7 over there on our sideline for a big play. That was coverage where we should have latched on the people in our zones, and he got us on that one. But for the most part, we did a good job, and that's one key is staying latched on to people when he does scramble, so our defensive line and linebackers can pursue and get to him. So to me, it starts with our DBs doing a great job. And I think it's just the effort that we play with up front. And when I say up front, I mean the 4D linemen and the linebackers that are back there as well. The effort that they play with, running people down, and just playing with relentless effort. The effort that I was talking about that Oklahoma plays with, I would hope that people would say the same about us as well. I mean, I think you go back and watch the very first play of the year against Old Dominion, the quarterback rolls out of the pocket, and D. Knight tracks him down from inside the box and makes a sack, if I'm not mistaken, over there on their sideline. Just extra effort like that and refusing to stay blocked. And, let's be real, we're good up front. And we've got we got multiple defensive ends that can rush the passer and are a handful. And we've got tackles on the inside that are not your big space eaters. We move and try and be very disruptive with our defensive tackles inside with the movement that we do up front. And that can be hard for teams as well. I mean, a lot of the stuff we were doing Saturday was, maybe it's here's an end coming screaming off the backside if it's a zone read, but now he pulls it, but here's one of our defensive tackles looping around to be there to tackle the quarterback if he does pull it type stuff. So just trying to be very strategic about how we play mobile quarterbacks like that and trying to keep them off balance, but also be aggressive.
Good stuff from Shane on how to defend what Oklahoma wants to do. Again, a very low over-under number for this ball game, 40.5. And, boy, it feels like taking the under is the right one, so points could be at a premium. And then again, maybe we see a, explosion of 34-31 this weekend. Who knows?
Because college football.
Yeah, exactly. Again, Lenora Sellers and a few other players spoke today. The coordinators speak tomorrow, so we'll have plenty more from those guys tomorrow and throughout the course of the week. And again, Shane Beamer's next public availability tomorrow for the SEC Coaches Teleconference, and, of course, Thursday night for Carolina Calls with Coach and Todd before the team leaves Friday for Norman, Oklahoma. SEC basketball tip-off, their version of Media Days going on. In fact, I guess they've concluded now over in beautiful Hoover, Alabama. The women's vote first. Carolina, no surprise, picked first, followed by Texas, LSU, and Oklahoma. Ole Miss 5th, Alabama 6th, Tennessee 7, and Kentucky 8. Whew, now we're halfway through. No, kidding. Florida 9, Vandy 10, Mississippi State 11, Auburn 12, A&M 13, Georgia 14, Missouri 15, Arkansas picked last in women's basketball. No votes for Carolina players in the preseason player of the year. Flau'jae Johnson and Anissa Morrow of LSU, along with Madison Booker of Texas, getting those votes. Just one Gamecock on the first team, and that's Tahina Paopao. 2, Raven Johnson, Malaysia Fulwiley on the second team. All of the details at secsports.com. On the men's side, real quick here, Alabama pick number 1, followed by Auburn. And how about that? 30 years ago, if you had said Auburn and Alabama are going to be pick 1, 2 in men's basketball, you might have gotten punched.
You would have gotten punched. Yeah, I don't think there's a mic
And
in
Tennessee
there.
third? What?
What's going on?
Arkansas.
What's going on?
Now Arkansas at least 4. Texas A&M 5th. Florida 6. Texas 7. Kentucky 8. What?
They ain't going to finish 8th.
Mississippi 9. Mississippi State 10. South Carolina 11. Yes, they're going to use that as another chip on the shoulder. Georgia 12. Mizzou 13. LSU 14. Oklahoma 15. Vanderbilt is picked last. Mark Sears is the preseason player of the year. The Gamecocks getting Colin Murray-Boyles on the 3rd team. All conference picks preseason. Again, all those details as well, secsports.com. Coming back on the other side, did Dan Lanning break a rule or just break some ethics against Ohio State? We'll discuss when the postgame show returns. Welcome back in. Final few minutes of the post-game show on this Tuesday afternoon. Do want to remind you, just a couple of craft beer cards left, $30 per brewery at 12 different locations. That's a $360 value. Yours only $79. Go to 1075thegame.com. Click on Sweet Deals and get yours.
Sweels.
There you go. And again, you might be able to win one if you can beat us in the Wild Card Showdown this Friday.
Which is always possible.
That's a few days away. In the meantime, we had the Oregon-Ohio State game as part of the Wild Card Showdown.
We did. Thriller.
Stayed up late for it. That was hard for me on a Saturday. It was a long day, but the football was too good. I didn't even watch the second half of the USA soccer game.
It's just too much real football being
I was
played.
like, yeah, it's a free. If the game had counted, I might have watched a little bit more of it. But I wanted to see Poch. By the way, they're playing Mexico tonight.
Poch's
but
first
you know
tilt
what?
against Mexico.
I ain't staying up for that one. Doesn't kick off till 10:30, man.
Oof.
I can't do that.
That's a little too late.
I can't do that.
Past our
But
bedtimes.
if you were watching that Oregon-Ohio State game, and I hope you were, you might remember that very, 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 very late, Oregon had a 12-men on the field penalty.
Can't do that.
They can't. Can you do it on purpose? Well, Dan Lanning did. Quote, "We spend an inordinate amount of time on situations, and some situations don't come up very often in college football, but this was obviously something we had worked on. You can see the result." With a minute 47 left, Ohio State had a 3rd and 25. The Ducks called a timeout with 10 seconds left on the play clock, just before the ball was snapped. An extra Duck walked out onto the field. Ohio State did not complete the pass. The Ducks were flagged for an illegal substitution penalty. It's a free play, kind of like offsides. It's a free play, so that means the clock runs. And it was designed for Ohio State to lose time. And since it was, 3rd and really long, what's 5 more yards, Dan Lanning says. So he admits, yes, we did this on purpose because it meant Ohio State would not get that time put back on the clock. It is within the rules to do this. So he did not break a rule, but there are many across the sport who believe it's rather unethical.
I don't think it's unethical by any means. I do think that it's kind of dumb because you give a team a free play, and if a team notices you have too many men on the field, chuck that bad boy deep.
Yeah.
You have no more risk aversion anymore.
Yeah.
You can let it fly, dude. You can absolutely let that thing fly towards the end zone and be a little more reckless because you don't have to worry about ball security, which what did we just get done talking about in the last hour with Lenora Sellers and ball security? There's so much that you have to account for as a quarterback to add to just the stressful internal processing speed you have to possess to be a quarterback. And if Will Howard, who has played a lot of college football, gets to have he gets to have 100% bleep it, let it fly, mentality, you can make something happen. Here's my thing. If you want to exploit the rule, instead of having 12 men out there, why don't you ensure that nothing's going to happen and bring out 15?
Yes.
Why don't you bring out a squad? Why don't you empty the entire bench
That's
out?
the answer.
Why don't you have everybody out there? Because then you're guaranteed zero success.
Yes.
We've seen plays before where there's too many men on the field and somebody still score a touchdown.
12 Oregon Duck defenders against 11 Ohio State offensive players. I'm going to give Ohio State plenty of opportunities to be successful. But they'll take that chance and again, it's not I don't mean that but yes, I'm with you. And I know Dan Patrick on his show today said the same thing. Like, hey, if you're going to do this at that point, you put 14 or 15 out there.
I'm like Mark Richt at Georgia for the Florida game when they did the celebration. Everyone's out there.
Right. I suppose the difference, because again, in theory, I agree. But, if you're putting 14 or 15 out there, like 12, sometimes you sneak that one guy on. And in the heat of the battle, especially in this moment, in this game, I don't know if Ryan Day or any of his coaches up in the booth or wherever, if they're so focused in on, man, we got to get in field goal range, that they're going to worry about a 12th guy. But they'll see 13, 14, and 15 come out, and then they won't run the play. Then Ryan will go like, they got 15 guys out here. What are we doing here? Throw the damn flag. That's what they'll say, right? Yeah. So it's
in a way.
That's the only thing that I thought of is like, you'll notice 15. you probably don't notice 12. But it's not the officials' jobs to tell the team that's going to receive the benefit of the penalty, in this case Ohio State, they got 12. Y'all want us to throw a flag? I guess not. That's not their job, is to count and then throw the flag once the ball is snapped. You don't have to. You got time to get off the field. You see that happen in football all the time.
All the time.
And you'll see personnel packages coming in like a hockey line shift, and all of a sudden one guy knows, like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here, and he is sprinting. And you'll see, if you're watching on television or something, or even if you're at a game, you may see a coach, just like an offside, snap it,
just to get the flag, the free play.
Because you get a free play. So it's savvy. It's savvy. It worked this time, but you're right. If Ohio State decided that they had noticed it, and you send a dude deep, they can burn you too. But for now, they found a way. We'll see you all tomorrow here. Again, lots more to get to from the Gamecocks and the Sooners. More on the hoops as well. Thanks to Ryan Brewer as always. For Elijah Campbell, I'm Jay Phillips. Have a great Tuesday. See you. And one more note from our good friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. You know, the fall, a good time to get that new vehicle in your life, especially with rates down, but inventory ready to be moved out for some of the new models. And it's a great time to visit with the folks at Palmetto Citizens about financing that next vehicle. They offer some great low rates on new to 21 models. They've got options for older vehicles as well. And many of their plans come with no payments for up to 90 days. Plus, they can finance over 100% of the retailer purchase price on new models, and they've got great coverage and insurance options that dealerships cannot beat. So get out there on the lot, find the next vehicle for you and your family, then go to palmettocitizens.org or stop into any of their 14 convenient Midlands locations and find how much you can save when you finance that vehicle. My wife and I are members. We love what they do for us. We think you will too. Again, check them out online, palmettocitizens.org.